3, 2, 1, blast off. Hey, here we are. Here you are. Thanks for joining us. Very happy to be back here doing some Shadesong. Wreckage of Stars, episode 4 of 5 tonight. So there's only tonight and one more to go in this particular story arc. It's been quite a good bit of fun. And, well, you know, let's not dilly-dally around too much and let's get this one started. And let me introduce to you my awesome players, my beautiful players, my wonderful players, and Miko.
There it is. I was wondering when it was coming.
You were wondering. You're like, there's no way it's not coming. There's no way it's not coming. Hey, guys, how's everybody doing?
Not too bad.
Excited.
Thanks. Good. Joe Biden didn't put a stick in our wheels tonight, did he?
I know more than usual.
You're silent. Your mic's...
What is going on? Okay.
I don't know. Holy cannoli.
Biden's not the problem. My cat might be, though. She's wanting a lot of attention and also to leave my room all the time. So we'll see.
At the same time?
Yeah. Pay attention, but on the other side of the door.
Yeah. I'm telling you, these cats today, they're not like the cats back in the old days. Back in my day, cats respected us. Speaking of cats, a bunch of cool cats in this thing tonight, and one of the coolest of the bunch is out California way. Mr. Oliver Clark, how you doing?
One of the 4 coolest players you have.
That's right.
Hi everyone.
Definitely in the top 4. Definitely
top 4. Well, that's all you can really ask for, isn't it? Hi everyone. My name's Olo. I'm creative director over at Escape Plan Games, TTRPG publishing company. We recently published Tavern Tales Volume 1, a 5e supplement for all your taverning needs. I will be playing Amloth tonight, the Wildren Bard, who has spent far too much time away from trees for his liking on this trip, and absolutely baffled as to where this is going next.
Tree hugger, is he?
Tree embracer, I think is the PC term.
No, it's true. And we are nothing if not PC over here. Thank you so much, all for being here with us and for accompanying us on this little journey. Along with Olo, we have Miko, and that rhymes. What's up, Miko?
It's me. Not too much. Hi. I am Miko. I am the director of my own creativity, which is why I probably don't get very much done. Yeah, I am the OKSGM on the socials, the _OKS_GM. Links should be showing up in the chat somewhere. Who knows? I play games, run games, produce games, create games, and all of those sorts of things. Hit me up if you're ever interested in talking about those sorts of things. I tonight will be playing Dara, the Dverg elementalist storm caller, I believe is the term in the world of Shadesong. Basically, he is a magic-y dwarf that wields a powerful hammer.
Powerful hammer it is. Thanks so much, Miko, for being here. It's always a lot of fun playing with you. I mean, you know, we rib each other, but lots of heart. Not lots of heart in my love for you. Something like that. No problem.
Something like that.
Something like that. Next, the man whose mustache alone deserves an Oscar, Adrian. What's up?
Hi, good evening. My name is Adrian. I go by Sly Sparrow on Twitter and Twitch and Instagram. I am an actor, producer, tabletop role-playing gamer, video game player from time to time when I have the time. And I love talking about all things and all kinds of fandoms. So feel free to reach out and let's have some great conversations, talk about some games. Tonight, I am playing, his name is Idolo Jambi, and he is a human from the land of Karth. He is a mentalist, kind of a happy-go-lucky mentalist, and looking forward to fulfilling his adventures and seeing what kind of story we can create tonight.
He has honest blue eyes.
Honest, very honest blue eyes.
Very honest blue eyes, and a little saucer on which he floats around.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got to travel in style.
Some just doing more style than others.
Some just hoard all the styles, so there's none left for the rest of
Just
us.
hoarding the style.
Despite how many times we ask to be part of the style is held.
We didn't talk about that. Could you carry everybody else or anything? It'd be funny, like everyone just kind of on this.
Well, you know,
on laps.
you can't ask for it. It's like being cool. You know, you can't try to be cool. You just are.
Gotta happen. That's right. All right. Thank you so much, Adrian, for bringing Italo to us and for playing. I always super enjoy playing with you. You're a lot of fun and very talented and cool to have you here. Speaking of cool, someone who puts the fawns to shame with their cool. That would be Kay. What's up, Kay?
What's up, Kay? Not much. What's up with you?
Oh, you know, hanging out, playing some games on the interwebs.
Oh, cool. I've never done it, so tell me all about it.
Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.
My name is Kay, or Kayden Cosmos. I do a lot of art stuff from, digital art, games, fiber crafts, whatever. But tonight I'm playing Claudia Sumnus. I can tell you a little bit about her now because people know of her.
No longer under a gag order, right? The publication gag order.
The old superior NDAs are vicious.
That's right.
The NDA report ran out. So she is a human from the Imperium. She started her life as like an academic researcher, and for the last 10 years has been more of a ruin diver archaeologist kind of gig. She's really keen on learning as much as she can about history, the history of the Eld, of the Aesir, and everything. She cares little for her own like physical well-being, and that kind of often kind of also gets put on others. She just wants to know what's going on, and nothing will stand in her way.
Answers, damn it.
Yeah.
We want all the answers.
She cares so much about her physical well-being that she can throw other people in front of her when she's about to take damage.
That's right. What a weasel. Thank you so much, Kay, for being here and reprising the role of Claudia. Super appreciate it. I, of course, am your game master of the Bleakseason. I run games here on my website and other places when the opportunities arise. You can find out, you can follow me on the Twitters at the Bleakseason, and you can check out my website, bleakseason.com, where I have all sorts of details about this game, Shadesong, which I created, but also all the other games that I run. My producer tonight, as with every other night, is Andy. Andy, the man with the magical touch behind the scenes. Thank you so much for the follow. It must have been my Onaris following us. Must have been my wonderful description of Andy's magic behind the scenes that did it. Yes. So Andy behind the scene pushing the buttons, including pushing the play button on our awesome music, which is from Tabletop Audio. Check out their website, tabletopaudio.com. Their information is popping off in the chat right now. They have all the music you need for your streams, for your tabletop games, whatever you want. They have a cool little Patreon that doesn't cost a lot of money and gets you a ton of stuff, but they also have a lot of free stuff on their website, including a little player. You can make playlists, run it off of there. It's all very awesome. Shadesong uses the Dragonbane system from Free League Publishing. So we are powered by Dragonbane, which comes out sometime this summer. We have just gotten the official PDF finally. After running on the beta PDF for a while, we got the official PDF just this week. So the rest of the game is coming out sometime this summer. You should check it out. It's a lot of fun. I'm falling madly in love with it. It's got a nice old school flavor to it. Super easy to learn. And just been a whole lot of fun. Shout out to all our mates at Guild Superior, people playing our games, hanging on their Discord, posting memes, coffee memes, and whatnot on Monday mornings to keep us going. If you'd like to be part of the family, come on by. Check us out on Twitter, Guild Superior. You can find the information for our Discord in the chat. Come on in and look out for casting news. We are always casting from inside our little guild, and come out, play with us, have fun, hang out. post some
It's-
coffee beans.
It's
You know?
not +1 merch, Adrian. It's not going to save you.
Yeah,
Hey, anything I can do to save myself. So.
that's right. We do have merch. I don't know if we have a link for it, but you know, it's out there somewhere.
Adrian found it.
Adrian found it. I had to send him that so that he'd play in this game. I was
Yeah,
like, hey,
he's,
I wanna
and
play
he's now
this.
here.
Swag
Now
bag.
we can't.
He's like-
Chris can't legally say that him buying that T-shirt got him on the stream.
That's
But-
right. I can't
But-
legally,
No,
but I can certainly.
would never say that that's what happened.
I would never. Finally, you can get involved in this game if you want, helping out the players by throwing some bits at them, which will get them advantages to roll when they get in trouble. And get in trouble, they certainly will. You do all have one advantage, as you do every game. You begin with an advantage in your pocket. But if you feel like helping out the players and influencing the game a little bit, throw some bits in there, get them some advantages, and hey, I think that's it. I think I've plugged everyone and everything. Now I'm ready to terrify you. Oh no, wait, that's not cult. I'm not here to terrify you. Well, last week,
Terrifying enough.
I know, just by being here. When last we met, you had made your way to the depths of the monolith, the water monolith, and had first laid to rest some poor Sklars who had been corrupted by the presence of this foulness that's in the temple because of these weird tendrils that are kind of breaking in. They had been on the verge of corrupting the last few remaining eggs of Sklar, so you laid them to rest, including, unfortunately, having to kill the last female Sklar that you know of. But then you were able to take the eggs out and give them to the other Sklars who took them with them. You had in that room seen a statue of someone called Ambiance, and it looked like a very old statue, and it was a race that you'd never seen before, although it did bear some resemblance to the Eldrin, but also to the Diavok. And it seems that this Ambiance was someone who perhaps had been worshipped at some point or had been involved in here. He looks like some sort of engineer or whatever. He had tools on him. Behind the wall, you had entered into the cistern room and found there this giant cistern, inside of which was a being, a water elemental of some sort named Undine. And Undine had unfortunately gotten corrupted because these tendrils that were breaking through the walls and the floors of this temple had broken into the cistern where Undine was kept. You manage through your smart parsing of a story that you'd heard along the way about Undine's various lovers to figure out the correct use of the various valves and instruments in this room, allowing you to cleanse the cistern. However, you saw that the tendrils were still corrupting the water even when you were pumping fresh water in, which is when your friend Amloth had produced these seeds and these tears of Ents, which by using them together made these tendrils sort of retract and just flee from the purity that was bestowed upon them through this. And looking into the back room, you'd found a workshop where some sort of gooey gel was available, and Adara had managed to suss out that this was what was used to repair the cistern. So you had set with your knowledge of construction and fixing things to repair this cistern by using this weird sort of goo. And now you have basically a clean cistern, fresh water in there. Undine has sort of been coming to again, and Italo has made the contact with Undine telepathically and is in the process of, flirting with Undine. No, I don't know. You're just sort of talking and sort of hearing from her. And while this was going on, Claudia had drifted further in the back of the workshop and had found this weird sort of glass screen that was hanging on the wall, which had sprung to life when she approached it with her metal glove, her special metal glove, and had discovered a whole bunch of information pertaining to all these monoliths. But that's where we ended last time. So as we begin tonight, You are here in the temple that we can see on the Owlbear. Amloth and Claudia are in the back room looking at this strange screen that has sprung to life. Meanwhile, in the front of the room, Idolo and Dara have finished patching up the cistern, and Idolo has been busy having a bit of a mental, perhaps, discussion with Undyne as she is awakening in her little cistern. So let's start with you guys, Dara and Idolo. You have managed to seal all the cracks and the holes in the cistern. There's nothing you can do about the floors and the walls. You can clearly see deep in the holes. The tendrils are still kind of there, writhing, but the seeds that Amloth has sown, along with the ant tears, has appeared to appears to be keeping them at bay still. So there's really nothing you can do to fix. Right now, the walls and the floors, you don't have the tools or the materials needed for that. But as far as you can tell, the seeds are doing their job and keeping them away. What do you do?
And so the goo that we've been using to fix the glass is not appropriate for the walls then?
No, the walls are made of difficult to tell. It looks like some sort of stone. The closest thing looks like stone, except it's kind of smooth and it has a slightly different feel when you touch it. It's not something you really sort of recognize, but like there's huge chunks taken out of it, like the goo that you have, the blue spackle, if you will, that you have is great for fixing little holes and things like that. And when you smear it on the glass, it eventually becomes, that sort of glass again. But it certainly doesn't look like it would be efficient at patching up the monolith itself.
So I think as Dara has been working on repairing all of the various cracks and holes and such in the cistern, I think he's just been talking, out loud, ostensibly to Idolo, who has probably been ignoring Dara because of the whole mental communication thing. So I think at this point, as he's wrapping up, he's saying something along the lines of, "Well, this shite's fucking great. I can imagine more than a handful of people back in a few towns over that would absolutely love this friggin' glass blowers. Couldn't get more of it, I think." And he looks over at John B and he's like, "Have you been paying attention to a single fucking word I've spoken?" "Ay, god damn, like my fucking brother." And he just storms off back to the workbench to start cleaning and putting away tools and stuff.
As you get behind in the workbench, you see there's still some of that goop left. You could probably take some. Whether or not you'd find some more use for it, you don't know, but you could certainly take a vial of it with you if you wanted.
I think Dara would not do that. I think that he would believe that it's appropriate for this system and not appropriate for other things, even if he could find functional use for it elsewhere. I think he would hold this place in such regard, and not in a religious sense, but more in a the purpose that it was built for, in an engineering sense. He wouldn't want to take something away.
Okay. Let's go up. So you'll head out in the back and see what the other two are up to?
Yeah, as he is finishing up cleaning up everything, because the engineer in him just can't settle for a messy workspace.
Puts everything back in its place. The tools that you see there are they're all kind of familiar in some way. You can recognize a hammer and pliers and things like that, but they all have they all have some alien design to them, in the way they're shaped or the material that they're made of and whatnot. while you recognize the usefulness of most of the tools here, they're definitely like from a culture that's completely different than yours. That really doesn't. All of them are odd in some way, shape, or form that makes them very different. Even though a hammer is a hammer, but so
Right. I think that's something Dara is probably used to, given how much he travels and visits other cultures. So everybody has slightly different ways in which they make their tools, and for him, it's more about the function than anything else. So he's not surprised.
You leave the tools there. You don't take any.
No, he has his own. Yeah.
Okay. Meanwhile, in Idolo's head, you're getting the sense, Idolo, of someone waking up, of someone who's been in some sort of stasis or asleep for a very long time, and you can feel like tentatively reaching out and sort of getting a sense for everything. And the first thing that you notice is a sort of disregard for you and the others, and there seems to be like doing a body check, like, is everything okay, but for the monolith, like sort of reaching out everywhere. And you get a sense of sadness at some point, and you assume that it's when the sense starts reaching out to where the sclars were and where the eggs were, and sort of that loss that's there. So you feel a certain sense of sadness. That you certainly feel a sense of panic at first, but as the sense is reaching out and kind of checking the rest of the building and everything else, you get more of a sense of at first of just sort of curiosity, like what the hell happened here kind of thing. And then as that sense extends, you get a sense of an understanding. And one of the things that you'll feel is when the sense sort of washes over where there are some of the tendrils, or where some of the black ichor and stuff is in the water, that sediment that was floating in the water, and you feel a kind of recognition of it. And then you'll hear in your head, and it's not really a voice, it's really kind of like there are ideas and emotions that are projected towards you that you can kind of understand sort of what's going on, but it's not really like a voice of someone sort of talking to you. And there's always in the background this sort of distant sound of the surf, of water kind of flowing, either like a nice little babbling brook, or perhaps like the surf kind of rolling in and rolling out, and this kind of calm waters. And it starts off as like more agitated and whatnot, but the longer the sense kind of goes on, the more it becomes sort of calm. And by the end, you get like just this sense of like this peaceful little sort of lake. And as you get to that particular thought, you feel a little bit of an intrusion, and then the thought that forms in your head is, you come from a land that is very parched. It's the first thing that sort of comes at you, like this surprise of like you come from.
Do I get the feeling from the Undine that their containment is unnatural, or they are being held against their will, or this is where they are meant to be?
Yeah, no, you definitely feel a sense of ownership of this place, like this is their home, and like especially as they were reaching out, it really kind of felt like someone who's just come into their home and is checking to make sure everything's okay. And yeah, so you don't get a sense of any sort of imprisonment or anything like that.
I see. Now, of course, I don't come from a land with a lot of water, but I have been taught from many of my family members to, whenever you are with water or approached by water, to go with it and flow with it. So wherever their thoughts are going to, what places, I do not resist any kind of where it may take me. Now, this type of telepathy is only going to be surface thoughts, but I am going to like slowly place my hand upon the vessel itself to kind of have a little bit of a physical link, and then as I'm still having that telepathic link, we'll sit cross-legged in front, and just because I do not know how strong I am assuming extremely strong this creature is. I'm also very much focusing to keep my own thoughts calm, so in case they're able to interpret some of my thoughts, they realize that we are not aggressors either. We are here to restore your home, that type of thing.
So you get a feeling that they understand that, and what you were saying earlier about how water gets in. One of the sense you're getting is this sense of this supreme confidence in their power, to the level where they don't feel the need to show their power. The water will get in, right? If there's a slight, and there's just this kind of infinite patience of being able to sit there and whatnot, and kind of find the cracks, and that's kind of what it feels like as they're going into you. But you also kind of get the feeling that they're not themselves excessively powerful. You have certainly in your time, because of your family, has encountered powerful elementals before, and you get the sense that this is a powerful elemental, but not a god or anything like that. This is really kind of just a sort of powerful elemental. And as they're reaching inside your mind and kind of filtering in and getting images of who you are and where you come from and all that, you suddenly start seeing in your mind your land, and you can see the desert where you come from, and the dry desiccated trees and the rocks and the windswept areas that are just like dust and red rock everywhere. And slowly you see that sand slowly start to turn into grass, and you can see dry riverbeds start to fill with water, and you can see the trees grow and the branches extend and fill with foliage, and you see all matter of plants that you've never seen before just sort of grow everywhere. And before your very eyes, you're seeing your land turn entirely lush and green, filled with life and with water and with the plants and trees and life of all sorts, animals you've never seen. And you're getting this weird sense of loss, and you get the feeling that you're seeing something from a long time ago, maybe, that sort of used to be. And in feeling that, you get the sense of you understand the value of the balance in nature. You see what happens when there is an imbalance, when there is a corruption, when there is a tragedy that prevents the world from existing as it should.
With that rationale, are these monoliths here to maintain the balance? Or since the one in Karth is no longer working, is that a possible cause for the imbalance?
So when you think of the one in Karth, as you're asking that question, when you think of the one in Karth, you immediately feel their thoughts drawn to that. And they sort of search in, and you feel them kind of search outside a little bit. And the sense that you get is, the first thing is, an answer to your question is a sense that they're here to regulate things. They were meant to create, and then once they had created, they were kind of, put on maintenance, sort of thing. The other thing that you get from them, especially after you've mentioned the one in Karth and you feel them kind of reaching out, the first thing you get is kind of a thankfulness for your help and what you've done here. And then the sense you get is this, that they have brothers and sisters, but they can barely hear their voice. Some of them they can no longer hear at all. It'll say that there's one that they can sense from your home that is, in fact, empty. That their brethren is no longer there. that there is nothing in it. It is barren. You'll get a sense of the fact that their power and what keeps them going, it comes from the core of the earth, and that these monoliths are about amplifying that. So they draw energy, the monoliths draw energy from the core of the earth, and then they here inside, the ones that are in these, that inhabit these monoliths, their power, their presence is amplified by the monolith. So the monolith itself is something that amplifies the power of whatever's inside and allows it to sort of spread out. Without the power coming from the earth, the monoliths can't function. And so that's why they appear dead, that they're not doing what they're supposed to do, so they're not regulating anymore.
Idolo will place his hands within his robes and feeling some of the tatteredness of his robes, will start to really focus on those shatter storms to see if I can get any kind of clue of what is causing those. Like, what power is the power emitting from these monoliths?
Yeah, so what the sense that you'll get from them is the idea that because there's no more regulation, the powers are just sort of sparking off and sort of flying off wherever. And that's why once they start kind of mixing and, you know, together, it creates these weird sort of shatter storms that for those things, one, to cease, but two, to stop being so chaotic, the regulation has to start again. So these things have to be working in order to, you know, they're like pressure valves, basically, to regulate how much and how little power goes out and where it goes and so on and so forth. So you're getting the sense that because they've been shut down. So you're getting the sense there's two different things. One, they've been shut down, which is not allowing them to do what they're supposed to do, which is what created the shatter storms in the first place. What's happening with the fact that the shatter storms are all over the place now, you get a flash of these tendrils and this corruption that's been seeping in. And that's been sort of, you know, that's what's been making them kind of go haywire.
The that sense of, you know, when you return to your home and you check all the windows and you check to see if everything was locked and everything is in a good place, is there any sense, especially when thinking about corruption and the ending of a couple of the brethren, is there a sense of a familiarity of who is causing the corruption, who wants to stop this from happening? It's kind of like, oh, it's the people from across the street. They're always trying to get into my house, or there's these people who are always trying to corrupt or have been, you know, immortal enemies. Is there a sense of, oh, it's them again type, a natural enemy?
Yeah, you get a sense, the one that's missing, the one from your homeland, you get a sense of that happened super long time ago. Like, there would be no way for them to give you a number of years that they would understand it would make sense to you, but you get the feeling that, like, it predates all of this by a long, long time. Like, what happened there was a completely different thing. You get a sense of another one being destroyed very recently near here, and you get a sense of it was containing too much. There was too much stuff. It was malfunctioning, and it was keeping things that shouldn't have been kept, and it just grew and grew and grew, and then something happened to it. There was something alien was introduced into it, and it just kind of broke the machinery. You get a sense of like a rock being thrown into delicate gears and things, and the whole thing just kind of shattering and falling apart, and because there was so much stuff in it, it just exploded. And then the other ones around this one, and then as it reaches out and gets to the other ones, you do get a sense of familiarity with who did this. And the image that you get from your telepathic contact is very much of the statue that's outside on the other side of the wall here. and there's a confusion about that.
Oh, interesting. Well, before I will let them be, I'm going to take this moment while on the other side of this to do kind of like a last friendly type, what an interesting specimen to meet. So I will remember things that I saw in the vision earlier in this monolith, and on the other side of like this glass, I will do kind of like just a friendly dance as kind of like remembering a past of long ago, just kind of like a friendly dance. Idilo is very much under the concept that life is not a journey, life is a dance, and to really recognize this moment while still linked, do a dance in front of the glass until the song in his head is over, and then he will go and say his goodbyes and meet up with his friends.
Just before it's over, you get a sense of amusement from them, and you see them do like a little twirl inside the tank, and then one of their four arms reaches up, and the hand comes up. This webbed hand comes up against the glass.
Be kind of like a court dance, I suppose. Put the hand up against the glass and just kind of do something just very kind of respectful and kind of a friendly dance too.
And when you do, you feel your hand getting wet. And when you pull it away, you see water is seeping out through the thing, and it's forming in your hands. And eventually there's this little sphere of roiling water that is just sort of floating above your hand and slowly solidifies. And then it deposits itself gently in your hand. It's kind of like a glass bead, and you can see liquid swirling inside. You can definitely tell that it's magical.
I will think to them, thank you, and I will just do a bow, a respectful bow, and let them be. I'm sure they.
And the second you let them go, you can feel that, they're going back to sort of reaching out and kind of testing everything and checking things, but you feel that sense of gratitude sort of wash towards you. And as that's going on, what's that film? Shape of Water, courtship's going on. In the front room, in the back room, Dara, we'll rewind a little bit, and Dara, you arrive and find Claudia and Amla staring at this weird sort of glass sheet of glass that's kind of stuck against the wall. And what you see when you arrive is this.
Master Manachmore, I think we have something here better for your eyes than mine.
Aha, you're muted now.
Do I see it translated?
Yeah. By the time you arrive, it's translated.
Yeah. Okay. Right. What am I looking at?
I was hoping you could tell us.
Okay. As I'm looking at this, it looks something like a kind of map, I guess. Malfunctioning. All right. Atmospheric temperatures dropping. Well, that makes a bit of sense then.
Claudia's going to go, as I was saying before Dara arrived. So, like, the Eld came here, and there were lots of ruins and stuff, and our whole world was frozen solid. And I just start going into like continuing my lecture that I was giving Amlad before you showed up.
Who's just been listening raptured, because any story is worth a sit down and a pipe, even in circumstances such as these.
What is that story, Claudia?
Oh my gosh, it's the story of our world Eld. So the Ved came to this world and from space, and the entire planet or entire world was covered in ice, and they're very advanced systems were telling them that this world could support life and had supported life here before. Like they had also seen a bunch of ruins and things. Eld in the Ved tongue means ancient. So when they came to this world, they were like, yeah, this place super old. And so so they drilled deep into the center of our world. They put huge engines there to kind of, I guess, warm it back up, melt the ice. So like in Amjathar, they have something they call the Deep Forge. And so it's now cold and not working, but it's what they had used to make to warm up the world. So as you can see, I think these other forges probably are more of the same. They call these engines of creation, if you want to impress some friends with some knowledge. But through these, they could manipulate the very fabric of our world. Okay, and this is what I've been learning since I told you a little bit that I went to Blight Rock. I saw the cool fish. I've been basically researching this for the last 10 years. So like, what else can I tell you? And she kind of closes her eyes and she's like, oh yeah, okay, all right. Like someone's talking to her, like she's on the phone. We don't have phones here, but she's like, okay, yeah. And I forgot this other stuff.
That's right. I'm supposed to do that voice for you. I'd forgotten again.
So what else? There were portals, connections between worlds. We talked. So when I was in Blight Rock, I did translate. I told you some of the things I translated last time, that they thought they found their new home. This was going to be like their last stop, and their plans worked. They melted the world. They got it back to a livable state, and it could have gone on forever. But Ermanaz, the big statue guy, he started to go into madness. He had a rebellion against the mother and the father, Othwin and Jadewin. And he, with the ability to create life, because of the Gurak, which I think all of us here are descendant from. So he, by creating new life, it warped something, it twisted something. He already had a fragile psyche because of his ego and his immense genius, or at least that's what the things say. And so Ermanaz and his engineers, or his other priests, they stopped tending to the monoliths and they started to break down. But it took several thousand years. I can't put it. We're now reaping what they sowed or stopped sowing thousands of years ago. So it's now our mess to deal with. But the monoliths are also powered by other beings like Undine, probably. But all of them are sick, dying, or dead, I think. One, I think in Carthum, one of the ancients, they were kidnapped or removed from the monolith. So that one's probably, we shouldn't go there. But now the world we live in is disintegrating. It's like, this is gonna kill us in time if we can't manage to turn this ship around, which several thousand years is hard to kind of undo. But the very being who created us, who gave us life through the Gurak, is also who's doomed us.
If I may correct you, Professor, the thin one in front of you with the strange facial hair will not be descendant from the Gurak. The one in front of you with the strange facial hair. No, not the short one, the other one.
Mm-mm.
He would not be descendant from the Gurak.
Oh, okay.
They'd be descendant from the Aesir.
Oh. Okay.
Easy mistake to make.
Thank you.
You don't hear this voice, by the way, it's on her end.
Right.
I said thank you to my hand, and then except Amlad, not you. I think you were descended from the Aesir, so you have some Ved blood in you, technically. And that also means that you are basically kin with the Sklar. The Sklar, maybe I should have told you before you started killing them, or we started killing them. They are also descended from the Aesir. The ones here just, I guess, changed because of Undyne. So, but yeah, Amalot, how do you feel about being descended from the Aesir? Pretty cool, right? Oh, maybe I should have said you should sit down.
Amloth spins in a sort of slow crouch, like this whole time. Miss Claudia, when all this is over, I beg you to return to the Whisperwood with me. There is a young bard or two who could learn something about enthusiasm from you.
Are they not very excitable in the Whispering Woods? It also sounded like a threat initially. I'm gonna let you know that right away.
I apologize. There's a tone that one develops when one learns one is descended from Aesir that apparently creeps in uncontrollably. This is worth a ponder.
Mm-hmm.
That's to be sure.
Well,
worth a bit more than a ponder, my friend.
I always prefer to be able to see a tree canopy above myself when I'm pondering, so is there anything else we need from in here before we get going?
Oh, well, I guess so. I'll motion over to the pane of glass, and then I'll bring out my map that I had kind of been trying to fix on it at some point, and I pull out my map and I put it kind of side by side with the glass, and I think this lines up. What do you think?
So it does seem to line up with the monoliths and the three forges. Obviously, the scale is not quite the same, but these things here would line up with the three forges.
And on this map, can you point out where the Highlands are?
Yeah, right here.
Where we're at? Okay.
All right. So you're here at Van.
Got it.
And then there's another monolith there, one here, one here. This is the one that's...
I'm assuming that Dara has traveled to at least these other monoliths in the vicinity, but does he know about the forge?
No.
Okay. Does he have a sense of where it is if this map is to be trusted?
There is from this one you would not really know. There's nothing that springs to mind. Over here you do know of something that's interesting, because the word here, Drakkar, is an ancient word for dragon, and around this area in the mountains you know that there's a natural rock formation called the Three Dragons. And that they are like three tall fumarole types of natural, outcroppings, and that they vent something because there's always smoke that comes out of them. And the idea is, basically there was very likely a volcano in the area, and this is probably like, excess from down there, and that's what people have just called them, the Three Dragons. For as long as you can remember, but it would be like pretty much in the area where this one is.
So if this glass is to be trusted, then it seems to be that whatever this faulty link is between these forges, and you said that the forges power the towers, but these things are already causing the shatter storms, so
something's gone wrong.
Perhaps then I don't know. It seems like there's something more to this malfunction than just a lack of power. It seems lack of control more than anything else.
That makes sense.
Well, at the very least, I think we need to find out if there's anything that can be done about this corruption that's going on this tower itself, to at least keep it at bay before we go trotting off to somewhere else. But in the back of my mind, I'm feeling the call to a forge maybe is necessary to learn more.
Are you worried there might be danger in allowing this power to return unchecked?
No, I'm worried about the fact that this power has been devoid and that the weather and everything is starting to get cold again. If Miss Claudia here is to be believed, these things have been what's been allowing our world to stay alive. And without it, we're fucked. So...
Italo, as you study this map, something that would sort of jump out at you also is how this area, which is Karth, where you come from, is depicted as a forest here.
Right. And that monolith is the one that's known as Live, correct?
Yeah.
Which meant light?
Light and life.
Light.
I can bring back to you.
Is it possible, since these monoliths are connected?
Oh,
Claudia...
Zombie, it's glad you finally fucking got out of your trance. Are you willing to listen to us now? Pay attention to something that we say?
Tell me if I'm wrong. Were you dancing out there?
Aren't we all dancing in some sort of way?
Maybe
Yes.
in some way, but
No.
in most ways, no. Not really.
Yes,
Quite visibly, physically, you were dancing.
I was attempting to show our gratitude, and gratitude has been received and reciprocated.
It worked.
As these monoliths,
Right.
Looking back towards Claudio, is it possible to travel between, if they're linked together, is it possible to travel between monoliths without going outside?
Question.
You have no reason to believe so. You've never seen...
I've not seen anything that would indicate that so far, but I mean, maybe the Sklar knows something. Oh, and Undine is awake now, so
What you're sort of feeling is that, you know, and since a number of you know about magic, is that there wouldn't need to be physical connection between them. If it's magic, they would just be connected, you know, without having to dig tunnels or lay pipes or run cables or anything like that, right? So the chances that there's any sort of construction that would link them.
Are you asking if we can teleport around? Is that was that the point of your question, or was it about
like if there's some sort of portal, some sort of magical connection between them, that perhaps there's some sort of device that will... Obviously, they can tell if one is not operational. They're linked somehow, whether it be through magical means. Just curious.
Do you have a problem with traveling on foot then?
He hasn't done any of it on this entire trip. Bugger's been floating the entire time.
I am just looking for efficiency. I'm just assuming that looking at this map, it seems to be connected. I figure that also travel may be possible. Who knows how the ancient ones used to get around.
Well, it doesn't fucking matter how they got around, because that's unlikely to be how we get around. So, did you learn anything then from our friend that seems to be waking up in the water out there that's of importance, or did you just learn how to dance?
I wish I was a better dancer. If only she could teach me. I would say that what I learned is the corruption that is plaguing this monolith seems to be... Now, of course, I only felt surface thoughts, and usually the surface thoughts sometimes hold more truth than deep thoughts. It seems to be... The culprit seems to be our good old statue friend. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name correct. Is it Amarith? Aminaz, yes. Yes, that's... Apparently, when I attempted to seek some answers about the corruption, that name appeared in the Undine's mind.
I know that Ermanaz and his priests engineers, they did the maintenance on these forges and monoliths, and then they stopped. From what I can tell, they just let it to decay. But do you think that he actively tried to sabotage them?
You did get the sense, Italo, that it was recent. this corruption and this. It wasn't something like. The surprise came from the fact that it was recent.
Okay. Well, this is something very, very soon. It's very, very recent. So unless they are still around, actively corrupting, and for what purpose, I don't know, who's to say?
Right, so we still don't know then the actual source, because as far as we could tell, there was nothing wrong with that statue. So I don't think it was necessarily the statue, if what you're saying is to be believed, that it's something to do with who the statue represents, right?
Correct.
Got it.
And the mismanagement of these monoliths is what is creating the Shatterstorms.
Right, the upkeep needs to be gotten back to. And somebody's going to have to fucking figure out how to do that. So, Joy. Mr. Amloth, I got a question for you. Those seeds of yours, do you think there might be something to plant in them around this monolith in the vicinity that might help keep the corruption back for that undying being, whatever, out there to be able to at least hold things together long enough for us to investigate a bit more? Does that make any sense to you?
Absolutely, we're singing from the same song sheet, Master Dara. I had the very same idea myself. I'd rather plant them outside rather than down here.
It takes at least 3 ales to get me singing, so we've got a long way to go before that comes to pass, thankfully.
I think I have an idea of where to go next. I think if we get one of the deep forges working,
right,
it should help ignite the other two, and then if we can get something working together that might provide enough power to set the monoliths back to normal and get them functioning again. But with these things,
that's pretty much spot on with what I was thinking too. So, sounds like we're all in a fair bit of agreement. Maybe we need to go and speak to the blue fellas and see if there's anything more that can be done with and for them. And like, ostensibly, they lived here for a reason, right? This was their home, if I'm not mistaken.
They live here.
So let's see if we can make their home a bit more livable, and if they understand anything about this undying creature being, whatever. Perhaps Mr. Jambi and you, Claudia, could go and see about that while Amloth and I set about to trying to see if these seeds can do any good in the ground for preventing this this corruption, or at least keeping it at bay.
And Master Jambi, before you go, you might want to talk to your new friend and point out that the Sklar are in need of a new brood mother. If she has any inkling as to where they might be able to find one. It sounds like they're scattered far and wide.
I mean, they did just get a bunch of eggs, right?
Maybe one of the eggs
in there.
Yeah.
You and I will have a conversation about birds and bees fairly soon, Master Dara, but that can wait. Let's get these vines planted. And
what do birds and bees have to do with blue skin fellas with a bunch of eggs?
Follow me. Just a hand around shoulders.
So is there anyone who wants to do anything else in this room before you take off, or?
I want to try and get on Idolo's thing. I want to try jumping on it as he's like, let's go. I want to see if he'll let me, or if I don't want to walk.
I will allow her to get on the disc, which looks like a little floating basket, and I'm just gonna.
That's outrageous.
Just push.
I've been tilting at that particular windmill for days. Outrageous.
As you're leaving in your head, Claudia, you hear, "Shall I power down the system then?"
Oh, What? Which one?
The display.
Oh, just the display. Okay, yeah, sure. Thank you.
Would you like me to save a copy of all the information contained therein?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Downloading.
Are you talking out
Who
loud?
are you talking to?
Yeah, I'm absolutely talking out loud. I've been talking.
Sorry.
Just share a look. You're welcome.
Did you do something, Amlod?
I didn't think so, but
We'll just be going, and I'm pushing her on the floor. Don't mind her.
So you make your way back out outside of the monolith, and the first thing you notice when you get outside is that the storms and the weirdness that was going on around it has definitely abated. There's still little pockets of it going on, but in the immediate area, you can already tell things are kind of coming under control a little bit more. Dara, this might be one of the few opportunities you have to reload Rune Lock if you wanted to.
I actually have no rune locks available currently.
No, you have two, right?
Well,
You
I
don't-
have.
You don't break
I
them.
have.
You don't
Right, I
break
know. I have two dormant ones, so I don't have any that are powered at all. Would I be able to empower both?
them. Yeah, that's why I'm saying that. Like you could
Okay.
choose. Basically, there's still all the elements are still kicking around. So if you
Okay.
want to spend some time, you can reload them with whatever elements you think you might need down the road.
Okay. Yeah, I will set about to doing that.
And while he's doing that, Amloth, what are you doing?
I want to sort of. Is the So we've come out where we entered. Are we still in deep water, surrounded by?
Yeah, everything is still there. Everything is still there. You have to be careful when you step out. There's still the sort of muck in the water, and you can still see those red snake serpent thingies. They're still floating in the water. So when you
Okay.
come out, you still have to be careful. You have to kind of find a way out.
Okay. So from the sort of ledge that we got to, Amloth will spend some time dipping seeds in entities. What a sentence! And well, just start off with one. Just flick it into the water to see if it will sink and take root with the water that's deep.
Yeah, and as soon as you flick just a seed, or do you use the end tiers also?
So dip it in the end tiers and
then throw it in. So as soon as you throw it in, you can see the effects right away. It sinks to the bottom, and you can see the water sort of clearing out, and you can see sort of these fresh plant that's starting to come out of the ground. You do a quick calculation. To get the entire lake would take probably close to everything you've got left.
What about just surrounding the monolith?
The monolith is quite big, so I'd say probably close to half of what you're carrying.
Master Dara, are you nearby?
Right, yeah, what's up?
I'm in something of a quandary. I'm not sure that I have enough of these seeds to deal with.
We don't have to talk about eggs, you know that, right? We don't need
No,
to have whatever that discussion is.
That was really more of a bit for the other people inside. No, it's just you and me now.
Right, okay. What is it then?
Not knowing how much corruption we're going to face between now and this journey's end, I don't know how much of this unpleasantness to pacify around our monolith here, or how much to save and hope that we don't need it all on the way ahead. What do you think?
Well, look, I don't know what's going on very much with the rest of everything else, but I do know that this one is causing a lot of issues for the people surrounding us and for the people that ostensibly live inside this thing. So I have no problems whatsoever with maybe keeping 1 or 2 seeds and planting the remainder if it at all buys us more time to deal with the rest of the issues. I don't think we're going to another one of the towers or the monoliths anytime soon, and to be honest, if I understand anything about the elements that were on that weird glass display, I don't know how much your seeds are going to be helpful to us elsewhere. This place is full of water, water being the lifeblood of everything, and it makes the most sense for the seeds to be planted here than it does elsewhere, at least in my mind.
You make a good point, Master Malakmore. All right. I want to keep a little more than a couple, but I'll certainly use at least half of what I have here. And let's hope that it at least buys us enough time to return to the Sky Orchard and
Half
gather
plus
myself
one if
some
you're
more.
taking my advice.
Half
plus 1 if you're taking my advice.
And half plus 1 it shall be, Master Dvarg. And I will spend a pedantic amount of time separating out half and 1 of the seeds I have left, and dipping them and trying to get as much coverage around the monolith and of the lake as I can from where I am, just sort of hucking them out.
Yeah, so you'll be able to get like clearly like all around the monolith, not a problem, and sort of out into it a little bit. So you'll be able to get a good chunk of it, and it'll immediately have an effect. And what you start thinking is that it might have like a well, I don't want to say self-perpetuating, but like, you know, as these plants here grow, they might help cleanse.
These are real plants. It's not a magic sort of trick. Yeah, so hopefully it'll sort of repopulate.
So you think it's probably right, but yeah, it does at least sort of cleanse it. And right away you can see a lot of that those sort of weird black shrubs that were growing on the rocks and stuff also start to kind of dry out and die, and the weird vines and algae that was on the monolith is also kind of washing off, and even the fish and the animals the fish and the other aquatic beings that were in the water like seem to be less immediately lethal once they start swimming in that kind of part of the water. Okay. What are Idolo and Claudia doing during that time?
I believe we were heading to see the Sklar.
So you find the Sklar. They've you look for them for a good while before you realize that they've climbed on the monolith, and they're on the monolith kind of as like, you know, sections, and they've kind of climbed up for like the second one, and like you can kind of see that they've put the eggs away and they've covered them with they've gotten like some plants and leaves and algae and stuff, and they've sort of covered them, and they're like kind of like looking down at you now, not too sure sort of. What do you do? Do you want to?
I motioned to Claudia. I was like, if you would like to go up, the disc will take you up if you'd like.
Oh, very exciting. Okay, let's go. Do I have to do anything, or will it just go?
Yes, you have to close your eyes. You have to lift up your hands, and it'll take you.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. You could just go.
Perfect. So I take the elevator up.
You get on the disc. It goes up slowly. You sort of look over, and for a moment you have the urge to just throw yourself off, but you fight that urge, and eventually you kind of rise up, and the Sklar are not, you know, they know you because they met you before, so, you know, they kind of make room, and one of them extends a hand and kind of helps you get off the thing. Your glove, you know, some lights and some arcane energy flares are on the glove, and starts translating what they're saying to you, so you can just speak with them.
Okay.
Have you spoken to the Great Spirit then?
Yes, we've seemed to have cleansed her or cleansed them. They seem to be waking up and hopefully this will help you folks and help you with your I don't want to say spawn. I feel but
Our children.
your children,
Our
yes.
children.
So hopefully they will be able to help you kind of rebuild and
We will give it a bit of time and eventually return inside once we can make sure that the cleansing has taken root.
certainly. Okay.
Idolo is
owe you a
going
great
to-
debt of thanks.
to cast Levitate to catch up with them. And as Idolo arrives, since he really cannot communicate with Sklar, doesn't know the language, but can tell that obviously Claudia and the Sklar are communicating.
Well, in fact, when you arrive, Claudia, in your head, you'll hear, Master Jambi is arriving. Would you like me to translate out loud?
Absolutely. And please, I'm sure you can figure out, but can you also translate what he says to them as well? Thank you.
Of course. And as you approach, you hear them talk, and then you hear emanating from her glove, in a very kind of monotone voice, a translation of what's being said.
How very convenient. Hello, my Sklar friends. Yes, I have spoken with the Undine, and as I say that, I will open up and show the little bead that she gave me. That they gave me.
They seem very impressed by that.
And do you know what this is?
No. But if she gave it to you, it must be very important.
I see. Close the hand.
I would not drink it or spend it frivolously.
I will cherish it always. We wanted to see how we may be able to help you further. I know that we were able to gather a couple of your eggs. I wish we were able to gather more. Regarding the brood mother, is there a way that we can assist in that in any way?
No, unfortunately, they were too far gone, and what you did was the only thing that could be done. We have good hopes that one of the eggs will bear a new mother. We should be okay.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you.
How long have you all lived here? If you don't mind me asking.
Ever since this place has been here.
So you saw the corruption happen?
Oh, the corruption was very recent.
The statue,
Erminaz,
was that always here, or was that a recent?
No, the statue was always here, but he was here also, perhaps. They look at each other. Less than a season ago.
Did the corruption start after he left?
Yes, he brought it. He was different. He came with other men like you, dressed, and he'll look at something that you're wearing that's red, and he'll touch it, dressed in this color.
Dressed in red. What made them leave?
They came and went into the bowels of the monolith, and we assumed he was here to commune with Undine, but after they left, the corruption began, the tendrils began breaking in.
Claudia quickly grabs something. I don't know if she'd have like pen or.
You have that on you.
Is she gonna? I don't think her artistic. Is there a skill for artisticness?
There's a performance. There's a performance skill.
Claudia her red and is thinking red priests. So she's gonna try and they sort of wear similar clothings.
Yeah, they have like specific robes and masks that they wear.
So she tries to draw that and then shows it to the scholar. They kind of look like these
Yes.
guys
With metal faces.
with metal faces. So she turned to Edel. You do know about the red priests?
The Red Priests.
They
You would know. You're from Karth.
Oh, those are the Red Priests from.
Yeah, the Red Priests of Al-Gahim. They have a fortress called Al-Gahim
Oh yes.
where they live, and they are known slavers. They
Hmm.
are just bad people.
How odd
Yeah.
that they would be so far from their
Yeah,
land.
very odd. Like,
Extremely odd.
I haven't thought about the red priests in 10 years. Okay.
What would they be doing up here?
well, you can do myths and legends. I would
legends?
say, if you have it.
I do. Roll the 6. My myths and legend is 14.
Claudia, did you roll it?
No, I did not, but I can. Ugh. I'm going to not do anything. I did not get it. I got 17 over 14.
Okay, so what you know, Italo, is that you've never heard of any connection, any way, shape, or form with any of this. You don't even really know of them traveling this far out. But the notion of corruption, there are various stories and legends and myths and whatnot about the Red Priests that say that their name doesn't just come from the fact that they wear these red robes, but that they in fact worship some sort of blood deity. And one of the stories about them is that not necessarily a story about them, but the notion of the corruption of a corrupting aspect is something that would be, connected to them, in that the being that they are said to worship is an unclean being. It's not a question, it's definitely something about the corruption in the blood, like bad things in the blood, evil things in the blood, things of that nature. And is there anything else you would know? That was a good roll.
Are they mostly human?
Yeah, they're all human. They are all human, and I just don't see how you got a good role, but I just don't see how your character wouldn't know anything about them outside of Karth, since you
Right.
yourself are not outside of Karth.
Exactly.
Claudia might have known something because she's been kind of around and whatnot, but flip the role. So yeah, but you know that the notion of corruption and stuff like that would be like one of their tenets, or would be something that you would associate with them fairly readily, even if you have not necessarily ever heard of them being connected to Ermunaz or any of those stories from the past.
What is their basis for being slavers? Is it because they believe people have corrupted blood and therefore inferior, or
No, it's not that.
corrupt blood
It's really just how they make their money.
Okay, it's
And,
just
how they make
capitalizing
their,
on that.
yeah, and they tend to enslave the Diavok who live in Blightrock, because Blightrock's on the other side of Al-Gahim from Karth, and they tend to prey on the Diavok, especially because the Diavok are kind of exotic in a lot of ways with some of their powers, and the fact that they sort of look a little demonic and whatnot. They look very similar to the Sklar, actually. In fact, just they tend to have slightly different features and red or purple skin, and they're just a very put upon culture. They've always kind of had a really hard time. Their entire land was destroyed at some point, all their cities. So they had 3 major cities that were built near this volcano, and it erupted at some point and destroyed all their cities. So now they live like in these fields of ash among, like, you know, the ruins of their ancient cities and whatnot. And they've always just been like kind of a hard luck kind of folk a little bit. And they're prized for their fighting abilities and their magic and their resistance to fire and things like that. So they often end up being preyed upon by the.
Has Idolo ever met them before? The run into Dwafo?
Yeah, for sure. Like there's some sort of all over in Karth. You can run to very easily.
So they don't just stay in.
No. You
realm.
Run into them, and in fact, having been very recently around the monolith a lot in the past. Since you've been looking into it, certainly, going back several years, there's been this kind of it's kind of turned into this sort of place of worship for them, where they come from very far and travel to do that. And when you were there, you heard a lot of whispers and rumors that they were saying that there's some sort of prophet that's talking about how the secret to their deliverance is in this monolith, is in this obelisk, and that if enough of them, you know, worship it and pray to it, that this secret of their deliverance will be revealed to them, and so on and so forth. And you've seen a lot of pilgrimages being done in, you know, going back, like you've been interested in the month the past few years, but even a few years before that, it had already started. And when you go there, there's always tons of them camping out around it. And
is this prophecy only shared amongst their people, or is this a commonly regional thing?
No, it's from what you've been able to discover, it's very recent, and there's nothing anywhere else that you've heard or read that connects to it.
Okay. Well, as I am calculating all of this, I'm speaking this out loud to Claudia as of what I know about the Red Priest and the Red Robes, the Blood Deity, the corruption aspect, part of them, what I know from them from Karth. See if there's any kind of similarities between the Sklar and this monolith, that this is a kind of a repeating pattern, some kind of larger goal. I guess it's so unusual that they would be here.
Well, it seems the Asir have been, from when I was in Blight Rock with the Deovolk, and I'll tell you a bit about the Red Priest. I say bye to the Sklar, and I assume we're levitating back down. So the Asir always seem to be put upon. So the Deovolk by Blight Rock, the Sklar here, but like, so when I was doing the whole thing with Blight Rock, ran into the Red Priests. They were trying to lure Deovolk away from Blight Rock, and they were being ambushed by the Red Priests, taken as slaves. There were some other Deovolk who, like, I think he called himself a prophet as well. So that's weird. And yeah, he was trying to kind of make an uprising with the Deovolk, but also selling other Deovolk into slavery.
If you remember that he was doing it because he needed the Red Priests had at some point taken plaques from the ruins, and he needed those plaques to finish reading what was being said, and so they had said that they would trade it to them in exchange for a certain number of, and so he had started up this rumor of this thing, so that a lot of them would leave Blight Rock and travel there, and they were getting ambushed basically on the way there by the Red Priests, so that he could get, and then you killed him.
Yeah, so it's not the same guy. It must be another guy maybe doing the same thing. But so when I was out there, Deovolk, he made a promise to find not my mother and sister.
No, it was what was her name?
What is her name?
I have to go look at my old notes from a year ago.
The purest vessel.
Nerubi,
yes. Yeah. Nerubi. So someone had made a promise to her to like try and find her mother and sister who were being kept with the Red Priest. His name was Cassius Castinus. As far as I know, I haven't spoke to him in quite a while, but he's probably still in Karth trying to do that. I haven't heard anything.
Have I ever heard of this name?
Do a myth and legends roll.
It was almost a dragon. I got 2.
Nice. Yeah, you've heard of him before. The dverg that sent you here, Lakenir. He was a an acquaintance or a friend of his. Like you saw them together a few times. They seem to be involved in a few things together. So you would have met him. He's a human from the Imperium. That's kind of like an adventurer that's hanging out in Karth and kind of a mercenary doing work here and there, and he was kind of secretive and whatnot. So you never really got kind of his full measure, but he was definitely someone that you would have met at some point hanging out with Lakenir.
I see. This Castinus fellow I have indeed met from time to time. We are just minor acquaintances, but
He gets around.
I had no idea he was on such a quest to find prisoners of the Red Priests. I may have to inquire more with him.
You could tell him I sent you.
I most definitely will.
He'll be like, "She owes me money," and stab you. So you come down from the top of the monolith. You find Dara having just finished fiddling around with his rune locks. He was chasing some of the little shatter storms around and doing something with these weird little contraptions that he has. Which ones did you run after, Dara? You are muted.
Which rune locks did I get?
Yeah.
I went for fire and air.
Okay. And Amloth is finishing spreading his seed around.
Raising.
Amloth, did you teach him about the birds and bees?
He's out there sowing his seeds.
Amla, these plants aren't indigenous to this area, right?
They are not. They are from the Whisperwood.
One, are they invasive species? And I guess 2, any archaeologists are going to see this in another couple thousand years and wonder where these came from, which is very funny. So keep.
So put our
Don't stop.
initials.
in seeds.
So, go ahead.
These are sun vines from the Sky Orchard in the Whisperwood. Invasive? Yeah, I better bloody hope so, considering what's in their way right now. And a story for the later years is always something to be treasured. So let them have at it.
So Dara will be able to tell you that you're about a week's journey away from the area, the 3 dragons that he was mentioning earlier. Is there anything that you would like to do before you set off towards that?
Weak.
I'm guessing, Claudia, that given the fact that we haven't seen you wearing anything else or carrying anything else, this is pretty much all you've got on you, right?
Yeah. Because, and I mean, some of my stuff was damaged when I was kind of lying in that room for a while. I'm very hungry. I don't think I've eaten in a few days.
Right, we'll have to do something about that. Has anybody seen that fucking mule?
Has
Not
anyone?
a mule, it's a ram.
Right, but I'm still calling it a mule.
All right. You look up, and somewhere along like some sheer rock face on like a pebble that big, it's standing, just sort of looking down at you.
Of course it fucking is.
Knowing what you know of the road ahead, Master Dara, might it be worth our while to spend some time foraging for what we can find here before moving on?
Have you seen the trees around us?
I'm asking about the trees ahead of us.
Right. Well, it doesn't get much worse than what we're standing in right now.
Fine. Then fine by me to get out of this bloody bog.
I don't suppose there's any way you can go up and ask the blue-skinned fellas if they've got maybe a bit of blanket or preferably something furs to help you in the cold of the mountains, because where we're going, it's going to get even colder than it is here.
I don't see there
muted.
be any reason, any harm not to ask him.
I was gonna say, I already said bye. It's gonna be weird to go back,
One
but
thing.
I guess I get.
Why did you say goodbye to them? We aren't fucking leaving yet.
I was ready to go, but okay.
So
I'm
you'll
gonna
go.
attribute that to you being hungry. Ask them for some food, maybe.
Right, so you don't want
Fish
any other
eggs.
food. You don't want any other food that they eat.
No, we saw what they were eating down in the basement. Yeah, we're good.
But you will be able, when you go up, they don't really have much of a clothes, but one of them will be like, where's that guy that got bit by the fish? And then, it's like, oh yeah. And so they'll come down and they'll take you around to like a little creek near where the river is, and you'll see there's some poor feller there who apparently got bit by one of those fish that were trying to kill you earlier. And he doesn't have much as far as gear and stuff like that, but he does have a nice fur cloak that's a little wet right now. But if you were to dry it out, it would at least give you the equivalent to, since it's not really a blanket, but it would give you kind of the equivalent of that. So you could at least have that with you.
Thank you.
Derek can take care of drying it out. And how do we know that Claudia doesn't like kelp and kale? I mean,
I will try it to be polite in front of the Sklar if they offer.
Yeah, you don't want any of their food. So you'll set off then up the mountain, heading towards the Three Dragons area, and it's a pretty good place for a break. So we will take a quick break, and when we'll return, we will find you on the road towards what you hope is one of the great forges. That hopefully you can just hit the start button and get it rolling again. Start a nice little fire.
Nice and easy. Yeah.
Exactly, a little bit
You
of
you just front loaded all the difficult stuff for this episode.
exactly.
Right? We're through.
Now it's just a matter of walking there and pressing play.
Cool.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you are hanging out with us, we'll be back in just a few short minutes after a break. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are back from our break, and just before the break, the group was setting off to travel to a place called the Three Dragons in order to see if there is a deep forge in there. As you can see on the Owlbear, I've sort of put a map of kind of the area to show you so where you're going. We're not going to, it's going to take you about a week to travel there. We're not going to make rolls for every day and so on and so forth, but we'll do a kind of one-off roll to see. So you're here at the monolith. You started out here in Kinnacree, down here, and you traveled all the way up here, and you were at the monolith, and now you are traveling up into the mountains and headed for this place here, Trene Drakar, which is Three Dragons. So as you're traveling up there, like I said, we're not going to sort of belabor it and worry about each and every day, but it's going to take you about, a few days of travel before you get to any place sort of worth looking at and mentioning. So for the first few days of travel, let's just go through we'll go through and make the appropriate roles for one leg of the journey. First of all, how much food do you have? So you would need one ration of food per person per day. So for 3 days, let's say you're going to travel 3 days the first leg, that's going to be 12 rations of food that you need. How much do you have on you?
I have 12. Or I have 10, sorry. So Claudia, we have a total of 12. I don't know. I know Idolo has 0.
I think
I don't
you're
know
the
what M.
No, I think you're the fridge. Like, I think you've got everything we've got.
Your artifact mule.
Could we be making? I think Amloth in particular would prefer to not. Like each day would be doing his best to try and supplement that rather than waiting until the rations ran out and then start hunting.
That's probably a good idea. So let's do some bushcraft and some bushcraft rolls for hunting and fishing and foraging, and we'll take a look at what you managed to forage throughout the day. So I will say that every day, we'll say that you can choose whoever you want, but we'll say that 2 of you get to make rolls every day, because you can't all be foraging all the time or you're just not going to sort of get anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can sort of pick who you want, but you can make some rolls to see how much foraging you do. So 2 of you per day can do it, we'll say.
Idolo would like to try to do this, and with the rolls of bushcraft, could I use my divination of like berries to lead me to where berries are, to like give me an advantage of finding things to forage?
Sure, I'll buy that for $1. So I'll say you can get a boon on your roll. Yep.
Sweet.
Is anyone going to do some hunting and fishing, or you're just going to try to forage for some? Sorry, Miko, you were saying?
Oh, I was going to say, do I also have to do a bushcraft roll to lead us to Trena Drakkar?
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. So we'll just do the supply stuff, and then we'll do the other steps.
I'll let Amloth and Idolo take care of then feeding, with me being the backup food.
Okay.
Since I'm also leading the way.
So go ahead and make some rolls. I'm not going to make you do 3 rolls. Just do 1 roll each, and then we'll sort of go from there and see.
Idolo rolled a 2.
11 under 12. It's in.
Hey.
All right. So that's pretty good. And you do have the Master Chef heroic ability, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
What does that give you?
For 1 willpower point, I don't need to make a bushcraft roll for cooking. It just successfully, any attempt at cooking.
All right. So I will say that with your foraging, that both of you have succeeded at, and your cooking, you will be able to cook up over those 3 days. Cooking up to 10 rations of food takes 1 shift, requires a successful bushcraft roll, which you don't have to make. So I'll say that you can cook up 20 rations total over those 2 days.
Well, there we go.
So you can eliminate 12, and you will have whatever you had before, plus, I'm assuming you'd eat whatever's about to go bad and keep the other, so we're not going to worry about that too much. But so out of everything you have, subtract 12, and then everyone's going to eat well during these first 3 days of your trip, and then you'll have whatever leftover you have from your supplies. Now make sure that you can carry those supplies, right? So
we have some room on the mule if we need to put some
4 ration takes up 1 slot.
Oh yeah, I can take. I could take all of them myself.
Well, there you go.
1, 2, where? Let me check. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could take 8 of the 12.
We used 12 of the 20, so there's only 8 left.
There's only 8 left. There we go. Okay, so if we're gonna balance that out, I've got 8 on me. One night Amloth whips up on the day he gets a rabbit. He whips up a sort of stewed fruits and rabbit sort of like a compote, and sort of it packs down very densely, and it's a protein rich and it's delicious, and so but it also travels well.
You managed to find some wild garlic with Italo's awesome roll, so
You're kidding me here.
you got some wild garlic in there. Excellent. So you eat really well, actually, probably better than you have in a little bit on the road, as Ameloth is turning out to be quite the hobbit. He's in the hobbit of cooking well.
An army marches on its stomach.
And your army's marching very well in that case. So let's do some navigation roll. So that'll be you, Dara. I'll have you make a bushcraft roll. Do you have anything that would assist you? Do you have a spyglass? Does someone have a map?
I have several maps.
I have a map as well.
All right.
I have some marbles.
Yeah, the marbles totally useless for you, but you can certainly get a boon on your navigation bushcraft roll.
We all know that Idolo lost his marbles a long time ago.
You keep finding them on the
every
rocket,
night.
and you keep finding them on the ground, and
Yeah. So that is nice. 3 under 14.
excellent. So you will not get lost. You will not have to spend extra nights out into the wild. So now let's check about making a camp. Now every day, every character has to make a bushcraft roll to make sure you get a suitable resting place. However, I do believe you have a tent.
A large tent.
Right. So then one of you can make the bushcraft roll with a boon. And this one will ask you to do 3 of them for each of the 3 nights because it might impact some of the other people. So whoever wants to do it, make a bushcraft roll with a boon 3 times, or you can have 3 different people do it, however you like, for each of the 3 nights to see if everyone manages to get a good night's sleep.
Since Amloth and Idolo are taking care of food, I guess Dara will take care of the tent. Plus, he's probably the only one who can wrangle the ram to actually let him take the tent away from it. So,
yeah.
All right. And you say I get a boon each night?
Yep.
So the first night, 14 at 14. Second night is there's a dragon. That's what a 1 is.
Hey,
Nice.
And then a 5.
sweet.
Excellent. So with that dragon, I will give you guys an extra 6 rations of food.
Nice. I will put them on the mule, I guess, because I'm assuming everybody else is. Well, no, Claudia can probably carry 6 rations, right?
I have things I'm carrying. I can
I
carry.
I'm not carrying any rations either.
Yeah, but aren't you like 0 strength and you have no ability to carry anything?
Oh, rations. I mean, what if we get split up? What am I going to just starve to death?
All right, well, I'll give 2 rations to Claudia and 4 to Idolo then.
All
It's
right.
just a Dolo floating on his disc with a couple of Tupperwares.
You need a little trailer to hitch to the back of your disc.
There you go.
All right, so you do good time. You eat well. You are warm. You get well rested. So by this point, you are all back full with all your willpower points. Any conditions you have are gone. Any wounds that you had have healed. You know by the 3rd day, Dara, that you are coming up on a small village called Cobb's Corner. And you can probably resupply there and get some new stuff. So if you want to get like a better blanket and things of that nature, you can probably do that at Cobb's Corner. And you know that it's probably going to be the last kind of little area, village or whatnot that you're going to get to before kind of really getting into the summit. By this point, you've been traveling, and now you're high enough that it's basically winter. There's snow everywhere. The snow keeps coming down. There hasn't been very terrible weather. Like there's always just a little bit of snow kind of coming down. it's
Yeah.
just a little bit below freezing point, basically. So it's kind of brisk, but it's not dangerous or threatening or anything like that. But you're
I
about
think
to get...
I think every shift, Dara is still going to use his elemental heat trick to keep the temperature nice and even keeled around the group.
Perfect. But you're about to get into like the high places where it's going to get pretty cold. So stopping at Cobb's Corner and getting,
Right.
some furs and some extra supplies is probably not a bad idea. Cobb's Corner, it used to be a mining settlement a long time ago. The mine ran out, a few decades ago, and a lot of the miners and people left, but a few of the people stayed behind, as this is one of the roads. So there's two groups of people that often will use this road. So it's one of the sort of through the mountain roads to get on the other side into Blashirk and sort of those other northern areas. But Amloth, your people also, when they do their pilgrimage to Kettleheim, now they go through the south because the doors have changed places. But one of the things that you'll kind of remember as Dara's telling you about these trails and all that is that back in the day, like a bit before your time, this would have been the road that they would have taken to go up into Kettleheim from the Whisperwood to do the pilgrimage back in the day. Now they go through the south now and come up down around the bottom through Trost and around the bottom of the through Rukin and around the bottom of the mountains and then come back up. But this would have been the old trail for that. And so there's always been a little concern. There's like a little inn and a little general store, and it's mostly like 6 or 7 families that kind of live here. And they've just, always sort of stayed here, even though the mining concern is no longer there. And you, Dara, will have certainly have visited this place a few times, in your mountaineering adventures through the past. As you approach the town, I would like for you to make me, anyone can do this, a spot hidden, if you have it.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Hey, 6 under 12.
16 over 14.
Dara is way too busy telling you about the history of this place and like how they used to mine, jet and things of that nature and blah, 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 to notice who else made a roll? You all succeeded. Okay, if you succeeded...
Oh, I didn't.
You didn't. Well, if you succeeded as Dara's going on about the mining, you find it odd that there's absolutely no smoke coming from any of the chimneys in the town.
Master Manakmore, when did you last pass through this Cobb's Corner?
A few months back, at least. Been a little while, but...
And how many folk were there living here?
100,
There's
maybe.
easily like, 50 or so people.
A few dozen.
Do they tend to... Is there anywhere else they go when the weather gets particularly cold?
Well, there's always some weaklings amongst the lot that travel south and, head down into the foothills, but there's more than a few stalwart folks that tough it out when it gets a bit chilly.
Look at the chimneys, Master Manakmore. I'm afraid something might have happened here.
You're probably right. Fuck me.
Is there a friend? Is there anyone in particular we could go check on?
Won't take us long once we're inside the boundaries of the buildings and such. We'll probably be able to tell right away whether or not there's anyone living. Whenever you travel through a place like this, there's always somebody spotting out the windows.
Hey, Game Stafford, thank you very much for the raid. Thanks for coming in. You've arrived just as we're coming upon a suspicious suspicious situation as the characters are traveling up into the mountain, and the little village where they were hoping to get some rest and resupply appears to be very quiet. Thanks for the raid. We super appreciate you. Thank you so much. So what do you do?
Are we
Can you-
moving in? Are we getting into town now, or do we still have some distance?
Whatever you like. Like you would have noticed, from a little bit of a distance out. So
I
you to tell me what you want to do.
Can you do a
Can I
little
use-
check if there's any tracks, like fresh tracks running, coming and going?
So there's always snow coming down.
Yeah.
So even though it's clear that the road's fairly clear to see where the road is, the snow ahead of you is clear of tracks.
Okay.
This just means that no one's been here in the past, since overnight, maybe, kind of thing, or like up this road. But that's not super suspicious per se, but it's clear that no one's kind of come up here, at least in the past 24 hours.
I would like to use my heroic ability, intuition, please.
All right. What do you have to do for that?
So when faced with a difficult decision, you can activate this ability to ask a question directly to the GM and receive a helpful answer. The answer represents your vast general knowledge and should only aid your decision making, not reveal everything there is to know.
All right. So go ahead.
So I would like to know, are we walking into a dangerous situation for us? Or am I getting ambush vibes, or am I...
If there were people waiting to ambush you, they would still need to keep warm in this weather. So chances are, if someone was waiting to ambush you, there would probably be smoke coming out of it, because one, they would want it to look normal, and two, they would need to keep warm themselves. Unless they're like some sort of frost giants that are lying in wait for you, then all bets are off.
Are there frost giants in this area?
Yeah.
No.
It's a weird thing to pull out of midair, Chris.
Frost Jotun just hanging out. Totally
Just wanted to
random.
check and see if Insomnia is in the chat.
I'll bring up to everyone. I don't think there's anyone here. I don't think there's anything waiting for us. So I don't know if you want to sneak in or just walk in, Cash.
There's
I
a
don't really
tavern-
do the sneaking thing. I don't know if that shouldn't be something that I have to say, really. So I plan on just walking in and leading the ramen with me. And if a lot of you want to sneak your way around and such, I'm more than happy to be bait for anybody that might mean us ill will. And Dara just starts walking.
I'll follow Dara. I've never really been one for the soft-footed approach.
I'm all about cash, so let's go.
He says, floating on his disc. As you enter the town, the town is extremely still. You would expect to find tracks here, there are not. Like, the fact that no one would have been out in the past 24 hours doesn't really make sense. The stillness is unnatural. Nothing looks... It's not like it looks like there hasn't been life here for like a month or whatever. Like, you can see things like, a wagon full of hay that, barely has like 24 hours, whatever, a few days of snow, what it may be on it or something like that. It's clear that the chimneys were running at least a few days ago. But the stillness is a little unsettling, especially up in the mountain like this, and all you hear is that sort of wind that's coming down through the peaks of the mountains and kind of diving through the, through this little sort of valley around here, and the trees kind of creaking and whatnot, and it's just way too still.
Are there any birds, squirrels, wildlife, any just kind of...
Yeah, you do spot wildlife around. You will notice that there's ice that's formed in certain places where you would expect there wouldn't be, like, in some windows and things of that nature, maybe like hinting that there's certainly been a few days or some time since there's been regular activity, but not, not excessively long time.
Well, where there's a tavern, there's a stove, even if it does seem to have gone out.
Right.
Perhaps a warm bed for the night. Assuming there's no one left in it.
Right. Well, I don't know about that, but let's at least investigate and see if we can figure out what the fuck has happened. I think the best place to start would be the caravansary, where the supplies would be. If anybody did leave in a hurry, they probably would have left it in shambles, and that might give us a clue as to what might have happened. So, heading off looking for
Is there a general store?
Right.
So it's that big building that's here, just sort of around the corner here. So this would be where the general store is. This would be the inn, and the others are homes of various people. So you'll come up here. There's no tracks. Snow's covering everything. And you can easily walk up to the door, one of the windows. What would you like to do?
I think just like laying the reins for the ram just off to the side wherever the hitch might be, but not actually tying it up, and then heading up to the door and pushing.
The ram seems a little, unnerved, like he's unsettled a little bit.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, Skyforger at the ready. Just head up to the door and push it in.
You push the door in. As you do, the wind kind of picks up and kind of goes in, and suddenly the door just sort of slams open. And inside it's very dark. You can clearly see that there hasn't been a fire or a light lit in here for a little while. And as your eyes are adjusting a little bit, you notice there's a number of people in here. But most of the ones you see are sitting at tables and sort of lying down on the tables, and as your eyes adjust into the darkness a little bit further near the bar, something like on the floor, you'll see like someone on the ground. You don't see like blood or any sense that there's been any sort of fight or anything like that. The people are just, there's maybe like 7 or 8 people in here.
After our
Okay.
eyes adjust, I think Claudia remembers that her sword can light up. And so our eyes have all adjusted. And then she's like, let me shed a little light on this situation. And then, ah!
Oh,
And yeah, you clearly
Okay.
see all these immobile people.
Can I go and check a pulse?
Yeah, do an awareness check. Spot hidden. Do a spot hidden as you approach.
Oh, no. That's a 3 under 12.
As you come close and reach to touch someone to feel a pulse, you can see that the skin is marred, like it has rotten, like it has rotted away, or something like that, like it's black splotched.
Black like the sklar were.
Yeah.
I fear that our friend Minaz has moved before us. Amloth starts to walk around town, banging open doors and checking other houses. Is it everywhere?
Yeah, so as you go around town, what you'll come to realize is that whatever happened while people were going about their daily lives. And I realize my description doesn't make sense because in my head you were going in the tavern and you went into the general store, so there wouldn't have been someone near the bar and all that. But same thing, you would have found a couple of people in the store, and if you go in the bar, that's the scene that you would get. But yeah, pretty much as you go through the various houses, you don't even need to go through all of them. I assume maybe at some point, I don't know if you do, but there's no way for you to account for everyone in the village, but definitely, it certainly feels like pretty much everyone, or almost everyone at least, has, in the midst of going about their daily day, sort of been struck by something and have just fallen dead where they were.
But there's no
Is
sign
there-
of contagion. There's no plant growth.
No, all of them just have black splotches on their skin throughout their bodies.
Are they making a particular face? Or are they just like sleeping?
It looks like it was probably fairly sudden. I would say certainly Claudia. I'll say Claudia, give me a Myths and Legends roll straight up. The rest of you can give me one if you want, but with a Bane.
I don't have any reason to do that, but I am curious if I could potentially go to like one of the fires, one of the stone hearths, and see if I can tell from the fire how long it has been since it's not what I very much believe to have happened to being snuffing itself out.
Well, I would say that it's hard to tell exactly. Like you could tell like up to a week maybe, and then after that it would just not make so, but it's been at least a week.
Okay.
You can also, if you want, instead of rolling a Myths and Legend, or in addition to rolling Myths and Legend, if you want, roll on your magic skill, if you have a magic skill.
Yeah.
So let's go through the Myths and Legends. Who succeeded on their Myths and Legends roll?
I got a 3 under 14. If I push a roll, do I have to take the new result?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay. And Idolo? Okay. It's not exactly like that, but you certainly encountered 10 years ago, Claudia, enough necrophage to see a similarity to it. But it's not the same thing, because necrophage is something completely different. It turned people into these weird zombies. But, you know, the black marks on the skin certainly look kind of similar to that. You especially would have known. So in Segovia, in the city of Segovia, in the years following the whole fugue thing and the whole necrophage thing, when there was that necrophage eruption in Segovia, they ended up quarantining the part of the city that had been hit with the necrophage, and they ended up flooding it to try and kill all the people in there that had the necrophage, and it didn't do anything because the zombies don't care. And so to this day, there's a huge part of the city that's still just sort of walled off, and as far as people know, it's still rampant with people in necrophage, but no one goes in. But what they started realizing after that were when people would contract it in later years, it wouldn't have the same effect. It wouldn't zombify people anymore. People would just get really sick, and most of them over time would die. So this looks like some sort of more potent, weaponized kind of form of that, maybe, that would kill kind of instantly. Speaking of the magic rolls, did anyone roll on their magic? And
Yeah, Dara got 8 under 14.
anybody else?
Idolo also got 8.
Whatever happened is clearly magical in nature. There was some sort of wide, far-ranging magical attack that basically struck everyone in the village.
All right then.
Hard to tell if it was a go house by house doing it, or if it was like a whole blanket area of effect thing.
Wave, yeah.
But it was very sudden. It was magical in nature. And you, Claudia, would see some of the similarities with with that, even though obviously, no one's zombified and attacking you.
Mix. It seems to be a mix of the necrophage, like an evolution of it, and sort of the corruption that we saw at the monolith. So it's
Yeah, because now that you're seeing it on people, you kind of get the feeling that, it's probably from the same source. It's probably, an evolved, like you said, or a sort of different use of it or something, but it clearly comes from the same origin, the same source.
I don't know about the rest of you, and this isn't exactly anything that you have to deal with, but I knew a fair number of these people, at least tangentially. I had an ale with more than a few. I've got to do something. We may not want to stay here for the night, but I think I've at least got to gather as many of these people up as I can and lay blankets over them, even if I can't perform burial rites today. Do you think that you all can set about trying to set up a camp outside of town, or if you're amenable to one of the houses, taking care of that while I set to business?
Do you not wish for any help?
I'd welcome it if you're willing, but this is not
More
something
than willing,
that's...
friend. More than willing.
Appreciate that. And Dara's not really going to wait for Claudia or Idolo to respond, and just this darkness kind of overcomes him, and he sets about to the dark task of gathering up bodies and getting blankets from the storehouse to lay over them.
You can definitely do that. Do you want to bring them all inside the inn, or do you want to sort of cover them where they are?
I think covering them where they are makes the most sense for him. And putting any of them together that he knew were together, related or otherwise.
Okay. So you go about doing that. I will also say that if you want, you can probably find in most homes information that would lead you to kith and kin if you wanted, like letters or, things of that nature, if you wanted to kind of try to assemble a list of that, just if you want. It's totally up to you.
That's probably not something that would occur to Dara. I mean, that might be something that it would occur to Claudia or one of the others, certainly. And if that was brought up, Dara would say, certainly go about doing it. That will help when I have to report this to the king. But his main focus right now is just trying to lay the souls to rest, so to speak.
Okay. So it'll take you a good chunk of the day to do that. While that is going on, what are the rest of you going to be doing?
I'm helping Dara.
Idolo will look from house to house, especially in places that were not... I guess there wouldn't be a lot of tracks on the inside, no snow, but seeing if I can find any clues within any of these houses of why they would have been attacked. Anything that was dropped, anything that was written, anything, because if this happened suddenly, if somebody was writing something, mid-letter, holding something that dropped, any kind of clues, and if I don't find anything, then I will go to assist Amloth and Dara.
You have divination, right? As a spell.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to use that?
I will, yes. Let me roll 3.
So I'm not sure exactly how divination
divination is basically like I'll have to state something, something that I'm specifically looking for. So if it's like, and it'll kind of like guide me in that direction, whether that be like.
Okay, well, I'm going to sort of use it slightly differently here, but as you cast it, you cast a spell and you're kind of looking for a clue of some sort. It kind of guides you a little bit towards the entrance to the inn, and as you step into the inn, you open the door, and suddenly you see it filled with people. There's a fire in the hearth. There's a couple of locals sitting at the table, and there's a bit of activity. There's the barkeep is prepping some drinks or not, and out of the corner of your eye, and you kind of just turn, and just as you're kind of turning to see it, all of this kind of fades away, but out of the corner of your eye, you see sitting at a table, there's a group of men in red robes.
I will, Idolo will continue to look around this particular, the tavern, and then meet back up with Claudia.
Something that you will find of interest is that some of the rooms were obviously slept in and were not done. Like someone slept in and they left, and all this happened before the morning service of turning the beds down when that would have occurred.
Mm-hmm.
And you're counting like probably about 7 people who stayed here.
Let me meet back up with Claudia. It was them. It was the red robes, the red priests.
They killed everyone here?
They were involved. I felt their presence in the tavern. They were here recently.
I have a bit of a working theory. I don't know if this is accurate or not. But okay. Are they here right now, or did they die along with the folks, or?
No, I don't think they died. I think they were a cause. There obviously was no struggle. There was no combat. I think they came and went.
Let me hazard this to you. Do you think that perhaps they are testing this, whatever this sickness is? They tested it on the Sklar. They came here. They wiped out this whole town for no reason, just to see if they could? Or do you think it was a pointed attack?
I wouldn't see any motive to attack the town.
Okay.
Unless they were testing.
That's very interesting.
Well, we know this happened rather recently. So that would lead us to believe that they are still traveling.
They're probably heading where we're heading.
So do we stay and rest, or we try to catch up with them?
Good question. I know Dara's probably gonna want to stay at least till tonight, but
well, perhaps you can convince them that the longer we stay, the more bodies we'll have to.
Hey, I'm not the king he has to answer to. You got
True.
I mean, you folks tore these the same kind of not branches, the tendrils out of me, or just like 4 days ago. So, and I don't know. It really, I heard him say, if we can trust what Claudia says. So I don't know how much he trusts me to tell you where to go.
Claudia, trust is earned. Trust is earned, and I think...
I need your honest eyes. Has anyone told you you have honest eyes?
My mother, really. But thank you. Perhaps I will speak with him then. Perhaps you will listen.
I will be back up.
Right. Back me up. Just nod your head and just...
I can do that.
Yes. Yeah.
And during all this, what is Amloth doing?
Amloth has been helping Dara gather bodies, and in any time he has a spare, he's sourced a broken bit of plank and borrowed a hammer and he's found a couple of nails and borrowed a hammer from Dara and carved a sign with his knife that he goes and hammers into the road where we came from, that just reads, "Here sleeps what was Cobb's Corner. Move on and move soft, that they may uninterrupted dream of warmer days." And then goes back and helps Dara with the rest of the bodies.
What do you do once you've gone through the entire town and covered all the bodies that there are to cover and given them what piece you can?
I think once that is done, Dara still has that kind of dark cloud over him, but he goes in search of everyone else to find out, particularly Claudia and Idolo, to find out what they've been doing whilst all of that was happening.
And while the day is passing, would it be possible to light a fire in the tavern?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well then.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of also respectfully collect what good equipment and stuff there is, and light the fire, make a place for us to kind of collect ourselves.
Yeah, you could find whatever regular gear you would like. So between games, we can go through it. You can add stuff to your list, rations if you want, and furs and camping equipment, stuff like that. So whatever you'll want, you can find here. What do you do then? Will you stay the night here, or?
Well, I will have just kind of like, since this is a tavern, just have some cups already ready, just with some water. I'm sure through all this that our companions will be tired, so just having some water and things ready, just kind of on a main table, have the fire going, and as everyone arrives, I guess in spite of all this, it doesn't look like at all that, I guess, we've made ourselves too comfortable. Like we haven't like unpacked anything. So as everyone comes in, Idolo will still, of course, look very very empathic to the situation, and will hand Dara and Amloth the glass of water, and please sit, please. Rest your bones.
Right.
Rest by the fire.
Amloth comes in and warms himself up. They've been out there for a long time.
Claudia and I, we've done a little investigating, and all we know for sure is that the Red Priests were involved.
Who
They
the
did
fuck are
this.
the Red Priests?
These Red Priests, these Red Robe Priests, who I've known since my days in Karth, have been traveling. They worship a deity known of in ways of blood corruption. We believe that they were at the monolith and spreading corruption, and we believe that they have traveled north and have spread this wave of corruption here as well. I know this was magic, and I know they were here in this room. I can still feel them, though they are gone. And what I'm afraid of is that they may be heading to where we're going. And I know that you've had a long day, and but we may need to keep going.
I plan to keep going. Did this knowledge that you've acquired give any indication as to how long it's been since they've left? The fires tell me that it's been at least a week.
I can think it was about a couple of days. And judging from the monolith as well, it seems like we're just a couple of days behind them. So unless you know any really fancy shortcuts, this may not be the last outpost we see like this.
Well, I'm guessing that these fuckers have never traveled through these mountains before, so I think I have a bit of an edge on them since this is my fucking home. How much daylight do we have left?
At this point, not much. Day is pretty short up here, and it would have taken you quite a bit of time to go through the town, so...
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have enough daylight to head outside of town and make camp somewhere that's not, in a sepulcher, but...
Here's my plan, and you all can tell me if this fits in with whatever Daning ideas are formulating in your heads. We get as much rest as we can here behind these walls, where it's warm enough to rest. Mind you, not as much as you might have wanted. And then we set out as early as can be the next day, and we travel hard, and we travel high, and we travel over the passes, and look for a different route to reach where we need to go. Hopefully managing to catch up to these red fucks so that I can put my hammer to their head before they get to the dragons.
If we're going to go with your plan, Master Dara, it sounds like we're all going to need a little bit of fuel.
There's probably a keg or two of ale behind the bar, enough for me. I don't know about the rest of you.
But, ale on an empty stomach is quite something to walk off the next day, so how about... And Amloth starts to go into his pack and to pull out 4 small parcels of grease paper wrapped around something. How about a little bit of Mountain Shadow mincemeat pie? I had a word with your innkeep friend before we left, and I was thinking I'd hold on to this until the spirits needed a little bit of a lift, and now seems as good a time as any. What do you say? And I chuck him a little parcel.
That'll do. That'll do. And I think Dara just kind of nods at Amloth, who can still everyone can very visibly tell the darkness that has crept into Dara's presence, and he just kind of heads over to the bar and leans against it as he takes up some of the food.
So you'll spend the evening here. Oh, sorry.
Amloth will go behind the bar and see if any of the taps are working, pour everyone a drink who wants it. Yakira, friends. As long as the candle's lit, the darkness can go fuck itself.
Right. We'll go with that. And he just takes a very long drink.
So you'll spend the night here, hoping to set off early in the morning. Is there anything that anyone would like to do specifically during the evening? Or you're just going to try to get some rest? It'll be long enough rest that you can recuperate whatever willpower points you spent so far on powers and such.
As we're partaking of the lovely food and feasting in the Fallen's honor, sitting by the fire, Idolo will approach Claudia with a very inquisitive eye, and
trustworthy, honest, inquisitive.
as we drink, Idolo will pose a very somber question. Claudia, do you think it is possible to change the past?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd be excited to find out. I know that traveling between worlds is possible, between places through portals, and the Ved came here through other means. I mean, anything's possible. Do you know something?
The red-robed priests.
Mhm.
What do you think? What do you think they'll do when they reach to the next town? What do you think is their next move?
I think if they're headed to the forge to make it non-functional or to overload it or something, use it to put this magic illness out there. What do you think?
It seems to be very likely. And a wise man once told me that a perfectly predictable future is the past. It has already happened. And so we have to find a way to stop it. Without knowing their true motives, I worry. I kind of want to know more about... It seems I've been thinking a lot, and these red-robed priests, from what I know, their base of operations is back in my own homeland, back in Karth. And I think gaining some more information in regards to their motives may help us. I'll sleep on it, but I wanted to get your take on it.
I think it's worthwhile. I mean, I first ran into the priests a while back, and they've always had a little space in my mind. I think it'd be good to get rid of them.
So, we shall ponder more on this. Tonight we drink.
Absolutely.
Anybody else want to do anything during this evening, or will you just be toasting the dearly departed and trying to ease your sorrow with a bit of drink and food and warmth?
And I'll tell everyone about my hand. Handy speaks to me. Handy, tell a joke, please.
Why did that Dverg cross the road?
I don't know. Why?
Who knows why the Dverg do anything?
That's amazing.
attached
Can
are
it
you
tell
to
you the weather?
Handy?
Give you directions?
All sorts of things. Opens doors, translates.
And just how attached are you to Handy?
I don't think it completely replaced my flesh,
Yeah.
right? So I will not have an arm if you remove it.
Well, you don't know. You could try.
I don't want to try.
Maybe chance don't tell it to make it not tell so many jokes about Varrig, or else we might find out.
It's okay, Handy.
That got dark.
Okay. So you'll spend the night, and it'll be long enough for us to get your stuff back. You'll set out before first light. As you step outside the inn, it's still fairly dark, and you will see something, Ameloth, that you hadn't seen in a while. Looking up into the night sky, you will see this constellation. And it reminds you of an old story about Astrid and her 7 sisters, which is what this constellation is called.
So I think
As you gaze upon it, you might, now that you see it, notice a certain similarity.
Amethyst has had a couple of drinks, so it's sort of with the with that puzzle-solving ability of only the half cut, he says, Claudia. And you find him like outside, like on a bench, just staring straight up. Have you that map you had on you? Is that the hand?
Sorry?
I mean, sorry, I'm not trying to make hand jokes. That really wasn't just. I don't know if that was offensive. I'm sorry. That's really not what I was going for. That map you've got on you. Can I take a look at that?
Oh, absolutely. Do you need a little light?
Much appreciated. Well, actually, if I hold, how bright are these stars?
From here, they're usually kind of difficult to see, but because of the elevation and sort of where you are, you can see it quite clearly. And you also know that this story comes from an area that's not far from, it's just on the other side of the mountain from here. So the story that you have about the Astrid and her 7 sisters comes from an area that's not very far from here. So difficult to see maybe in other parts of the world, but from around here, like, it would make sense why it would have stood out so much that someone would have sort of told a story about it.
So when Claudia says, do you need any light? Amloth just says, no, I don't think I do. And he just holds the map up in front of himself and moves it back and forth until he can catch the starlight through the map over each one of these points.
The only one that sticks out is this one here. That doesn't have a counterpart anywhere on your map. This is Astrid.
Mm-hmm.
And the other ones line up. This one with Van and Braun and the other ones that you had, right?
Well, bugger me.
So it lines up with these.
If only just met.
But there's one missing here, basically. But it would be, if you looked at the land map, it would be somewhere. So this is Liv. So it would be further south.
I think as Amloth runs inside and, without paying any attention to whether anyone's awake or not, just goes, "There's one more. There's another one." To anyone who's around.
What the fuck are you talking about,
Did you
man?
find another body?
Astrid, no. There's one missing. Come on, keep up. Astrid.
I have no idea
Astrid.
who the fuck Astrid is. Can you be a little...
Come on, I can't be the only one doing all the heavy lifting here. There's one missing. Astrid. 7 sisters. Not 6, 7.
One what?
All right. Amloth leans over the bar, pulls himself in that sort of move that would get you thrown out of any real pub, and just like pulls himself another one. All right, listen. Back home, there's a story that Gwyndaf brought back a long time ago. He said that he found it when he went during to the trip to Blashrick, where the Erskine live. And they bears tell of a night long ago when only the Jotun were around, right? And there was no mortal races on Eld. And the story is that of Astrid and her 7 Dara sisters.
Right, I'm following you. You've got 7 sisters.
Astrid and her sisters existed in the firmament above for untold eons, right? Shining bright at night, bringing light and hope to people, reminding them of, ancient mysteries guiding ships. Anyway, one night, they saw the world made dark and cold by those who once inhabited it. These people had managed to... earn the wrath of another celestial being or body, something, right? Which had hurled itself against theirs, crashing into it, causing death and devastation and turning the whole world into a ball of ice. So Astrid and her sisters, all 7 of them, decided to bring the light to the world. They fell in fiery pillars and embedded themselves deep down within it, using their heat to melt the ice, granting life to mortals. Do you understand? 7.
Right. It's another tale of the Ven people that Claudia was talking about.
I just hold the map up in front of his face and go, there's only 6 sisters here. Look.
So you mean that the sisters are supposed to be the monoliths?
Yeah, and there's one missing. Look, I grab him by the wrist and drag him outside.
I got it. You don't have to fucking grab me and do
no,
anything.
no.
I got it.
Listen. Drag him outside, point out the stars, and then jab at the map and go, look, there should be one here, but there's nothing. Why? Why, Dara?
Because it hasn't been found yet, or it's buried beneath whatever sands or whatever is down there. I got that.
Oh, no,
all you had to say was monoliths. You didn't have to fucking say sisters eight fucking billion times.
Listen,
all you had to say was monoliths. That there were 6 of them, and there's meant to be 7 because of the story of the 7 sisters.
Why all this chat back down? Listen, I gave you pie earlier. Come on, keep up.
I got it, Amlos, and I'm grateful to it. But that doesn't stop. That doesn't do anything about the problem that's in front of us. The problem that's in front of us is that there's these red fuckers that we got to go and deal with because they're causing death and destruction in ways that are going to affect the entire fucking world, apparently. We believe that they're headed to the Forge. So you have to understand that my mindset is like a smith. I see something in front of me that needs hammering, and I'm going to go and fucking hammer that. And when that piece is done, if you've got something else that you need me to hammer, then I'll fucking be there. Got it?
Ian.
All right then. Finish packing up. Finish your ale. You're gonna fucking need it because we're setting out now.
What time is it?
You screwed us all, Amloth.
Oh, bugger. All right. Yeah, I'm just going to go stick my head in a well. Amos just goes and sticks his head in some snow. All right. Okay.
And thus refreshed and revivified. So you're going to set off and try to maybe cut across country a little bit and try to make a little bit of time to get out?
This is where Dara's mountaineering version of bushcraft is going to come in the most handy.
So, all right. So let's get a couple of rolls. So it'll cost you another, instead of taking you 2 more days to get out, it'll take you about a day to get out to where you want to go if you succeed in your roll. So knock off 1 ration each that you will need for at least a day. Yes, Claudia?
I'll take care of all 4 for you.
Well, I don't know if it would help us get through the mountains, but my sword has a really cool function that can make like ropes into. I can control a rope or a snake, like I guess like a snake charmer or something. So, can help us get the rope up the mountainside.
We'll probably have to do a fair bit of climbing.
All right. So you set off through a very perilous area. So let's get a couple of easy rolls out of the way. So you get your 4 things. I'm going to assume you don't have time to stop to forage. You're going to live off your rations. Then give me a bushcraft roll for the sleeping at night. So you only need to get 1 since you have the tent. So that one night you're going to have to kind of sleep rough out there. Give me a bushcraft roll. Now normally because you have the tent, you would make that bushcraft roll with a boon, but because you're going to be in a rough situation and you kind of want to still try to get everyone some good rest, I'm going to say you do it straight. You do have advantages that you can use if you want, but give me a bushcraft roll just to see, first of all, if everyone's going to be able to get that 1 good night of sleep in on the trail.
Do you need all of us to make that, or...?
No, just you, since you have the tent. You're still going to be able to set up the tent.
I'll let Amloth and Idolo worry about the tent then. Since I'm focusing so much on getting us through the mountain, that's what I'll
Okay.
be reserving my check for.
So who will make the bushcraft roll then?
I just made a roll. That doesn't have to be
Why?
one
Did it
going
suck
forward.
terribly?
Why? What'd you make?
I got a 17. Over 12.
However, in the rules they do say that if one person fails, somebody else can attempt to do it, because basically you're trying to set up the tent and you're not fucking making any headway with it, and you
I
ask
will
someone to do it.
assist.
So
Don't forget
Yeah,
you
no
have your
problem.
advantage, Adrian.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. I could have done that.
13. I did make it.
all right, so you will manage to get a good night's sleep on the road. Now this is how we're going to do it. So you're trying to find a way through that is off the beaten path that will get you there in about half the time. So you're going to make a navigation roll. You're going to make a bushcraft roll. Now you have a map, but the map's not going to be of any use since you're kind of going off the trails. So you're going to make a straightforward bushcraft roll to try and get there. No advantages, no boons or anything on like the map. It's not going to help you or anything like that. So just make up a straight bushcraft roll for navigation.
Can I use my
You
advantage
can
point?
use your advantage if you wish, yes.
That I will do. That is a 6 under 14.
Excellent. You will climb over the mountain instead of going through the road, which kind of has a lot of switchbacks and so on and so forth. So by going straight through, you will save a lot of time. It's a lot more arduous to make it there. I will say that I will let everyone make I'll make a roll and you can choose what you want to make it with. I will say you can use bushcraft if you have it. I will also say that you could use so yes, that was your mountaineering that you roll there. So you can roll that. What else could you, looking at what you all have that might kind of help you.
What's it for? Just to see how sturdy we get through.
And you can use, if you don't have bushcraft, you could use acrobatics, for example. So it's to see if you can make it through without getting one condition, without getting the exhausted condition, because of the speed at which you're trying to travel, the difficulty of the terrain. So acrobatics would be fine. Bushcraft would be fine. You can even just roll on your agility or con if you want. But I want everyone to give me a roll just to see if you make it through without being exhausted.
Does my elementalism heat trick assist in dealing with the cold at least?
It will, but I'm not so much worried about the cold. It's just the difficulty in climbing, and I mean,
Okay.
these
bushcrafts.
they're not mountaineer, so yeah, bushcraft's fine, or like I said, acrobatics, or even your con or your agility if you want. Straight up roll on that just to see if you manage to make it through without overexerting yourself. And you can spend your advantage on it if you want.
I did
Yeah,
a 7 under 12 for acrobatics.
Well, that's good. So you're skilled enough in this kind of climbing and monkeying around that it's not too exhausting.
10 under 14, mountaineering.
Good.
6 under 12
bushcraft.
All right. So all of you will manage to make it through without exerting yourself. As you reach over the last peak and arrive in view of the three dragons, and I will show you two different maps. The first one I will show you is this one, which kind of gives you I want to show you this one, but I didn't upload it. So these things happen. I'm going to go and get it. It's going to take a second.
We'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post. It's not going to be long. It's just going to take. Where is it? Never mind.
If you want a minute, I could read the letter that I got from Offit that I've been wanting to share with people.
Oh yeah, so go ahead and share with them. So let's retroactive a little bit, and let's say maybe you shared that night.
Yeah, that
All
just
right.
works perfectly.
Yeah,
So
go ahead and do that.
So part of that night, once everyone was settled in and relaxed a bit, Amloth, who while we were all underground in the monolith, said that he wanted to mention something. He takes a scroll of paper out, a folded piece of paper out of his pack, and says, "Now, I have a great deal of respect for Archdruid Lazerin. A lot of love and a lot of respect. Because of that respect, I held true to a request in this letter for as long as I felt I could. Dishonesty is a heavy weight to bear, and I only bore it because of the family I have back home and the wisdom that I see in Archdruid Lazerin. However, she is one of our older and has not managed to shake off some of the isolation that our longer living Eldrin brethren sometimes live in. So, Master Dara in particular, please accept my apologies for not mentioning this sooner, but it will soon become clear why. This letter was given to Offit. I had no knowledge of it before coming on the road and meeting all of you fine folk. Offit. 10 years ago, an Ashturiath named Caitlin Horn brought news to us that a young Wildren named Talfrin, on his pilgrimage to Yggdrasil, encountered a strange, horned being that spoke poison and corruption to the youth. We later saw the effects of this corruption firsthand when Talfrin returned and proved problematic. He's fine now, but there were serious enough issues that we decided to investigate. This being appears to be rather ancient and is known as Ermunaz, the Horned God, the Black Blood, and various other such monikers. He was worshipped long ago by the Ashkari before they abandoned the old ways. We believe he may be the progenitor of the Ashkari, the Dvarg, and even the humans. The Council and I agree that he is most dangerous and should be opposed at every turn. The last information we have about Ermunaz places him in the Highlands. Should you encounter any evidence of his hand at play in the issues with the storms, you are to immediately take action. These seeds are Sunvine seeds. As you know, Sunvine feasts on corruption and rot. The bottle contains several drops of water drawn from the tears of Ents. Planting a handful of seeds and watering them with a few drops will encourage rapid growth. The Sunvine will hopefully make short work of any lingering corruption. We also hope they will destroy the monoliths. For this reason, and because the connection between Ermunaz and the Dvargs remains unclear, you should avoid mentioning the information contained in this letter to any Dvarg, barring extreme circumstances. You have been chosen for this mission because both the Council and I know the depths and breadth of your wisdom, and we trust you will make the best possible decision at every turn. So, I am not off it, but this is the best possible decision I can make at this turn. I could not in good conscience keep any of that information from you in a way that might cause you harm down the road. I think we're going somewhere dangerous, and I think every one of us deserves to know what we are dealing with. I'm sorry, Master Dara.
You don't have to apologize to me. It's fine.
Well, then.
I get what you did and why you needed to keep it quiet, and I appreciate that you're telling me now. He looks over at Adolo. You got any fucking secrets that you want to share?
I will blink my honest blue eyes.
Yeah, you've got a lot, just not that you want to share, I see. think that evening that probably just set Dara off on, like, I gotta go fucking take a walk. And he goes off on his own and walks around the town, just getting darker and darker.
Anything else anyone would have done in the wake of this revelation the night before, or?
Claudia, when Dara leaves, will just be, I'm very lost. Please fill me in later. I'm going to bed.
And so the next day you will make your travels over the mountain, and as you reach a higher plateau, you would normally have come up the road, and as you reach a higher plateau, you see two scenes. There is a bridge that links one side of the mountain to the other, and on the furthest side, on the other side of the bridge, you see the scene that I've now put on Owlbear Rodeo, where you can see the three fumaroles. And because you have arrived from such a higher point than normally, you can see the top of them. And what you notice, aside from the fact that there is smoke that's lazily sort of escaping and drifting from them, is that there appear to be actual sort of man-made openings at the top of these things. How you're going to get there, you have no clue, but you see that. The other thing that unfortunately sort of sticks out at you is that below you in the valley that leads to the bridge that you need to cross to get there is another fucking map that I didn't download because I didn't think you were going to get here tonight. So, fuck the GM.
Let me
Partner,
tell you
another
about
letter.
that fish I saw that
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
time.
Talk about the fish. It's only going to take a second.
I had another letter.
I have another letter. This one concerning the people of Karth. All right. There we go. You see below you, so you would be behind this scene now instead of coming up. Normally you would have come up through here. Now you are up here. And you see below you a camp that has been built here. And a couple more camps, and this is the bridge that leads towards where the fumaroles are on the other side, the three dragons. And even from the vantage point where you are, you can see that this camp is inhabited by men who wear long red robes beneath their furs. But as you look down on this valley and the scene below, you can see that there's quite a large number of them. There's probably about 30 odd red priests in the larger camp. There are 4 guards that are at the entrance of the bridge here. And as you look down at this and wonder, how the fuck you're going to get down there and across that bridge, we will end here for tonight.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
That's right. You were just waiting to say that, weren't you?
Yeah, I was.
You were just waiting to say that, weren't you? All right, awesome. Yeah, so we'll figure out exactly how you decide to approach this, because you have different options next week, and then after that, then you'll be at the Dragons, and we'll see what you do with that also. But that'll be for next week, as we've revealed all sorts of secrets and so on and so forth, and laid the grounds for more stories to come later on, and accomplished quite a bit tonight. So thank you very much for that, and for your fantastic role play. Everybody was absolutely awesome. So thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out with us. I would like to give my wonderful cast here a chance to tell us a little bit about themselves and what they got going on. So if you would like to go ahead and do that, we'll start with Olo again, the man with the letter and the the chef ability.
I'm just going to keep revealing worse and worse things about Amroth.
I have another letter here.
I have another letter. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Thank you, Chris, for running this. This is really awesome. And again, the fact that you have to shuffle through maps, plural, each session to get stuff up just shows how much love and care goes into this. It's really, really special. My name is Oliver Clark. I'm an actor, writer, TTRPG person, and creative director over at Escape Plan Games. You can find Escape Plan at www.eplangames.com or at eplangames on social medias. And you can find me at JackBNimble42 on Twitter and Instagram.
Thank you so much for that. Do check out Olive's work. And a couple of weeks from now, we'll have another little thing with Olive. We'll talk about it next week, but we're cooking up little plans with Olive for 2 weeks from now. We shall reveal them later. Haha, more secrets. I have another letter here. Thanks so much. Miko, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm sorry for dragging you into the darkness now, but it's me. So
it's you. I expect it. No, this has been a ton of fun. I especially loved the Great RP. But yeah, I am Miko, otherwise known as the OKSGM, at the _OKS_GM on all the socials. You can find links in the chat to that sort of thing, as well as to other ways you can get a hold of me. I produce games, run games, play games, all sorts of things. I've got some interesting stuff coming up in the next few weeks. I believe it is the 14th. We will be running another rendition of La Nota Eterna in the future that is from a Kickstarter that was successfully backed about a month or so ago. Christian was part of a game that we ran with a multi-part game that we ran for that, and we're going to be kicking that off again in the near future. So you can follow my socials to learn more about that as it comes up. And of course, you'll find me playing stuff in other channels as well. And lo and behold, there might be some more Eastera in the future as well. We shall see.
Mm-hmm. Julio, so much stuff, so much great things, so much great plans. Thank you so much for taking the time to play with us here. And your time here is not done. We'll see you again, for a few more of these down the line. Next up is Adrian, who unfortunately, Adrian, I think you will be absent next week. I did want to kind of find a moment to have your character be able to sort of say goodbyes and stuff. Unfortunately, sort of didn't roll that way, but we'll talk and we'll sort out what happens. But I kind of get the feeling it's not the last we've seen of the Dolo Zombie.
I think he will definitely be popping in and out. And definitely try to sow some seeds of future adventures. But good evening, everyone. My name is Adrian. I go on the internet as at Sly Sparrow on Twitter and Twitch and Discord, and I sorry, I was just having a brain freeze there. It's been a long night. I'm an actor, producer, and gamer. I play a lot of games online, mostly on this channel. Hopefully I get a chance to play again sometime soon. Right now I'm going more on what I call a theatrical break. I'm doing a lot of local theatrical productions, which kind of put me away from doing some of the streaming, but hopefully I could pop my head in and out and do some more adventuring with you all, because it's been a blast. Great, rich storytelling, great collaboration with all of you. Very much enjoyed it, every moment, every second. So looking forward to doing this some more. My character was Italo Jumbi, the happy-go-lucky mentalist who kind of finds himself in a lot of great adventures with great people. So it's been a pleasure playing, and I hope to do more. So.
Absolutely, Adrian. I absolutely love playing with you. Every time you've been in my game, it's always been incredibly interesting and fun. So for sure, there'll always be room for you in what we're doing, and we'll just work it out when the schedule allows. And for sure, we will do more and have you around. I absolutely love having you as one of my players. So thank you so much for taking us this far, and we will try to live up to what you've built here in your unfortunate absence. But thank you so much for taking the time to do this, and good luck with your theatrical endeavor. or as they say in French, merde.
Yeah.
Merde. Finally, the player who is more than their glove,
Handy. Yeah.
Kate. What's up?
Hi. How are you? Did you
It's
have
so
a good
fascinating.
time?
Yeah, I did. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun too. Thank you for running again. My name is Kay or Kate and Cosmos. You can find me anywhere. It's fine. Whatever. I do art stuff. I recently, sometimes to make sure that I'm continuing to be creative, I do like coloring pages. I just threw up a Simpsons one yesterday, I think, or something, whatever. So if you want free coloring pages, they're there for you. But I also do free online trivia on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Sly Fox Trivia. You can probably find the links in the chat. I played Claudia Sumnus, a very enthusiastic, learned person in the world. Retcon from being dead. Love that for me. And yeah, I had a great time. I'll be here also next week. So I hope I'll see you then.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Kate, for being part of this. It's always a lot of fun to roleplay with you, and you would make a great university professor with your enthusiasm for the lecture. A big thank you to everyone in the chat, everyone hanging out with us, the raids that we gotten, and we super appreciate you. Thank you to my producer, Andy. I am the Bleakseason. You can find me at the Bleakseason. I'll be tomorrow at Darling Creepshow's Twitch, twitch.tv/Darling Creepshow, running Cult, very dark, horrific game that we're doing over there. And next week here, we have on Monday, we have a brand new Call of Cthulhu game starting, a two-shot, I believe, with MJ Russell GMing. So that'll be a lot of fun too. And on Tuesday, of course, going back to Greyhawk in DM Dave's Heroes of Greyhawk series, which I get to play in. And next Thursday, we'll be right back here with the 5th and final installment of Wreckage of Stars for this particular story arc of our Shadesong campaign. Until then, we will raid a good friend of ours, Allison at Insight Checked. Give them some love when we pop in. And hopefully you had a good time as much as we did. Thank you, Andy, my producer. If I didn't say I did, but thank you, Andy, anyways. And we will see you around the corner at some point. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.